we're assuming that that's Ian Drew. Would you be able to turn your camera on for us, Ian? Did you hear me?
But he might not be there. He might be. He might just
be in and out, Vanessa.
Yeah.
I did actually. In fairness, he did speak at the beginning, and
All right.
So you after me?
Yes.
Oh, you're saying if you could turn your camera on just for a sec, just so I can see it's you.
How do you do that? Hang on a second.
That's Ian, Vanessa.
Oh,
that's Ian.
Yeah, I know
That's
it's Ian.
Start video, is that it? No,
Yeah.
hang on. I've got a mute thing.
All right. Yeah, don't worry about it. There should be a video next door to it.
There's a video thing. Start video, is that it?
Yeah.
Probably. Hello.
Oh,
Hey, there you are.
You can go
All
again
right.
now.
Lovely. You can close again now. That's great. Thank you. Lovely. All right, councillors. Just before I start up. Oh, sorry.
Before we do start, could I just clarify? I've only got Michael's first name. Sorry, I didn't know his surname. I apologise. All I've got.
Surname's iPad.
Sankey. It's Sankey. It is Councillor Sankey, Christy.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't know.
Yes, not the person that.
No.
Broken.
So before we start, I'll just say I've got two laptops in front of me here. One that I'll be looking at, and the other one to my right, which has got all the documentation. So I apologise if I'm not looking directly at the camera. Okay. So we've gone 7 already. So we'll start off today with any public participation at all. Anyone? No. Okay. Lovely.
Where's Richard disappeared to? Richard's disappeared.
Well,
No, Richard's there.
I can see him.
Oh, there he is down the bottom. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's down the bottom.
Yeah, I
Yep.
was just wondering if Pam wanted to say anything.
No public participation. Okay, apologies. I think we've already had apologies, Linda.
Councillor
Yep,
Watt.
lovely. Declarations of interest.
now, hang on a second. What are we going to do about grants? Because obviously there are a few people who need to declare interests on grants.
Yeah. We just do a blanket declaration now, and then when we get to each grant, we'll just also remind everybody as well. So we know John, Adrienne for thingy for Food and River
That's
Festival.
going to help Christine, isn't it? Melksham Food and River Festival, Christine, rather than thingy.
Thingy, yep.
Melksham, sorry, I beg your pardon. Melksham
Food and River Festival.
Thank you.
And Christine, for mine, it's for the age-friendly Melksham CIC.
Yep.
And Young Melksham.
And then you've got Terry, I assume you're putting your hand up for the Tourist Information Centre?
Yes, and
Lovely.
Bloom in Melksham and the seniors.
Oh, hold on just one second. I didn't catch that. I beg your pardon.
Sorry. Bloom in Melksham,
Right.
Bloom in Melksham, the Tourist Information Centre and the seniors.
Seniors.
Melksham seniors.
Yep.
All right, lovely. All right, pardon me. Right, to the minutes then. These are to approve the minutes of last week, which was the 2nd of November, 2020, the one that we almost finished, but didn't quite get to. Anyone got any questions or anything about that before we go to look at approving them? Mike? I can see Mike's hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, I wasn't at last week's meeting. I noticed on the minutes, minute number 1520, it actually makes a statement that the Art House Cafe is going to be a community hub next year. I wasn't aware that decision had actually formally been taken. I thought it was just one of the options that was going to be considered. 1520, it was the last paragraph of that minute.
I'm not sure where we've got to officially with it, Linda. Can you clarify?
There hasn't been a resolution of council, but I suppose so. Maybe we need to make that a bit more clearer.
Could we say instead it is proposed that it has been proposed that it will become a community hub next year?
Yeah, that sounds better.
Linda, do you want that to go to next week's full council just to resolve it or to actually properly debate it?
I will check, because remember the major projects went on the 26th of October, where it was that, and all those projects were approved, but I will check it. But I think it is still best to say proposed for now.
Okay,
So we'll make
Thank you.
that,
would make that an amendment.
you know, Christine, how to do that. Yeah.
I'll find a way of doing it.
All right, lovely. Anything else on the minutes? No, we happy with them then? Should does anyone want to propose and second? Or?
I propose.
I
All right.
second.
Proposed by Terry, seconded by Adrienne. All those in favour? Brilliant. Thank you. Clive, I've got you twice. Clive, I got you twice.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, so have I.
Why?
I've got two different angles
Okay.
of you as well.
Oh, well,
Okay,
he doesn't
All right,
even
that's
get
fine.
one vote, let alone two, so don't worry about it.
it's fine. It's not a problem. Okay, lovely. Let's go on to item 4 then, which was the draft Assembly Hall budget. Linda, do you want to talk us through this one a little bit? Because did we finish going through that one, or we still?
No, we didn't start it.
Tried to start, but we didn't get it finished.
All right.
This is the one where I'm going to maybe need input from members, because obviously, how long is a piece of string? I've estimated half what we would normally budget in terms of income and expenditure. I think maybe halfway through the year we might be able to get it up and running again. Of course, we don't know.
No.
So that's what the figures are based on: half a year's running costs and half a year's, apart from salaries, half a year's running costs and half a year's income.
Mhm.
Yeah, fair enough. Does anyone have any comments on that at all? Linda, do you want to go through line by line? How do you guys want to do it? I think Mike's got a
Members
question.
want me to, but like I said, we've sort of like gone for almost half on most things.
Yeah, okay.
Not great for 6 months of the year.
Okay. Mike, you had a question?
Yeah, I mean, Linda's obviously made a really good point about how difficult it is to put a budget in place for the Assembly Hall, given the current circumstances. Would it be a good idea as a council to resolve to set an initial budget, but then reforecast that budget possibly in March next year, when we've got a clearer indication of what's going to happen or what has happened?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, Mike, especially with the news that keeps on coming out about a potential vaccine, and things might kick off and get better. John had his hand up next.
Thank you. I just think we probably ought to plan for the worst and hope for the best,
Yeah.
rather than plan for the best and find we end up with something that's not as good. I know that, everybody wants to be very optimistic about the vaccine, and everyone wants to be very optimistic about things getting back to usual. But I think that to assume that we're going to get anywhere close to normal operating levels there would be extremely ambitious, can I put it? So I think we need to plan. I agree, Mike, about reviewing how we've budgeted it as we go, but because we have to set our precept in January, when we revisit it in March, if we've been far too ambitious in terms of our anticipated income, then we're going to have to find that difference from somewhere. And I suspect it will be easier if halfway through next financial year, we're able to say, actually, we've got more income than we anticipated, so therefore we can wire this over to reserves, than it would be for us to get halfway through next year and say, oh my goodness, we can't afford to pay the salaries. We're going to have to take money out of reserves, which means we can no longer deliver these other projects that we'd earmarked that money for. So I just think we ought to err on the side of caution, because if anything, we've learned anything in the last 9 months is that we're getting better in a hurry. And although people are very optimistic about this vaccine, it's coming with an awful lot of caveats of they don't know how effective it will be and for how long it will be effective. Remember, they're saying that people who've developed natural antibodies to COVID, those natural antibodies are only lasting a matter of months.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Adrienne, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I have. I agree with everything that Mike and John has said, actually. And I still think that we still have to keep on talking about the possibility of furloughing for the Assembly Hall staff, something I don't want to do. But having said that, if it looks as though it's going to not be able to be reopened, the furlough scheme is here till next March, I think. You know, nobody wants to furlough our staff, and I do not want to furlough our staff. But we also have to accept that there are 3 members of staff there who, you know, who aren't doing their jobs at the moment. And I appreciate they're doing other things, don't get me wrong. And as long as Linda can find things for them to do, or if they can be redeployed, I certainly don't want to see them being furloughed. But it is something which I think constantly must be in the mind of our clerk.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's something that goes on to one of the HR subcommittee, or even the full council.
And I'm not recommending it or anything. I'm just
no.
it to be
A proper discussion,
constantly looked at, is what I'm suggesting.
Yeah. Because you know, and again, Mike and John and yourself, Adrian, absolutely correct. You know, we don't know how much longer this is going to go on for, and it's better to plan for the worst. It could be a matter of, it could be years, and so we need to come up with a long-term sustainable plan. But that's a discussion for another night. Is everybody else happy, or any other questions to do with the Assembly Hall budget? Linda, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, just that the outgoings for the Assembly Hall have not changed. The only thing that I've changed is the income, but again, we could be over egging it, because if we can't operate for 6 months. Yeah,
Okay.
so it needs to be constantly reviewed, and when we come to actually set the precept, there'll be an awful lot more work done on the Assembly Hall income budget.
Okay. Yep. John? Yeah.
I would really ask that between now and the next time we look at this draft budget, some real work goes into actually how confident are we in these figures. I really do believe that we should budget worst case scenario in terms of income from the Assembly Hall. Wiltshire Council have shut City Hall. They furloughed all the City Hall staff. I think it's the same with the Civic Centre in Trowbridge. I'm not sure about the Neild Hall. But I'm not, like Adrienne, I'm not suggesting we furlough our staff. But what I am saying is the evidence of other similar venues is that they are not anticipating opening up again anytime soon. And remember, we did pass the resolution at our last council meeting that we would discount the cost of hiring the Assembly Hall to try and facilitate community groups being able to use it. So that will mean some of our staff will be needed for that purpose, but that in itself will have a significant impact on our income. So I just think we need to be really realistic about what our income is, and things like bar takings. I just can't imagine that there's going to be bar takings happening, because actually, will it be financially viable to even open a bar? You know, it might be that we're renting the venue out for someone to use, but we're not actually opening the bar on the venue because we wouldn't be able to move enough stock for it to be worth carrying the stock.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you very much, John. Linda, did you need a resolution from us for item 4? Or are you happy with just a discussion?
I think with this needs to be closely reviewed and monitored.
Okay.
The Assembly Hall budget,
Yes. All right. Lovely.
Sorry, the problem is, isn't it, is that it changes so quickly on a day-to-day basis. It's a very hard thing to do. But absolutely, we have to budget for the worst. We have to budget for virtually no income, hoping that there's going to be it, but we have to budget for none, and the consequences that comes. Devices have also furloughed staff, John. From can't remember the name of their hall, but they have furloughed the staff.
Corn Exchange.
Corn Exchange, thank you. I always forget it. Thank you.
I am concerned at the moment we're showing a projected £30,000 income on the bar.
Yeah.
And I'm really skeptical about the realistic. I understand why it's been done, and I'm not implying criticism in that's what we've got there. But I just think that if we're really doing some worst case scenario planning for our budget rather than best case scenario planning, and I think 30,000 is best case, not worst case.
Yeah, well, I had to start somewhere. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine,
I
Linda.
understand that, Linda.
thanks for the input.
Harvard's.
Yeah,
Harvard.
Yeah,
Terry says Harvard.
I think even that could be over optimistic.
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
That's
But it
depends,
stands a
Linda.
reasonable chance.
Yeah.
It depends if you let us have council meetings in the assembly hall
Yeah,
and you
we'll-
open the
we'll
bar up.
We put the bar.
I'm sure myself and Clive could sort out the bar for you, but
I'm afraid
you know,
there's a rule about council meetings.
I'm
and
not
like-
going.
There
I
is.
knew you'd say that.
Actually,
Sorry.
we can hold them in the assembly hall because it's a licensed premise.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Sorry, John. I think you wanted to say something else.
I'm only wanted to say I'd like to propose with regards to the assembly hall that we actually do say we want this particular part of the budget to be taken away and a worst case scenario version of it brought back for reconsideration, rather than just trying to look at individual figures and say half this or quarter that or whatever. Just say, you know, we want to be really pessimistic. Can we bring
Take it all away then? Take the entire income away, and let's pretend that nothing's going to happen. And if anything does happen, then it's a bonus. Linda, can we leave that with you?
On the furloughing, I understand it has to be in place by the 13th of this month, so there's not much time to organise that.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Linda, thoughts on that? Let me see the date. Sorry, I'm just going to look at the
Friday.
date. Was it
Friday
this
the
Friday?
Saturday. It's Friday the 13th this week.
Is it?
To add to our joys.
Right. I think that one needs to be left with Linda.
Yeah.
She is obviously the manager anyway, so as the people manager. So let's leave it with you, okay, Linda?
Yeah.
All right.
So John is proposing that we budget worst case scenario, which I can do fairly quickly because I'll just take out all the income.
Yeah.
Obligations as they stand at the moment.
Yeah.
In, and I can come back with that. So I don't know if someone seconder if members are happy that that's what they'd like.
Yeah,
to do.
I'll second that. Is everybody else okay with that? Thoughts? Or is everybody good with that? Yeah, just a quick show of hands. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's do that then. All right. Thank you, everyone. Should we move on now to item 5, which is what we were going to talk about again last week, which was the mobile phones. Linda, do you want to give us a quick overview on this one?
Just say yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, myself, I've heavily used my personal mobile phone. I know David has as well. I have no issue with that. No, because I pay a contract and I never exceed the minutes or the charge. But obviously, I'm paying the contract price. I think for ease of everything, it is much better if we all had a council issued mobile phone. There's lots of reasons why it's a good idea.
Yeah, and I'm more than happy to propose this. I think it's just smart, especially for yourself, Linda and David and our senior officers. They need to have a work number, you know, and in terms of work-life balance, you need to be able to turn your personal mobile, well, your personal mobile shouldn't go off when you need a break. The work mobile goes off. You don't touch it over the weekend, and you only have it on, you know, during business hours. John had his hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I have absolutely no issue with this. Could I propose, though, that what we do, rather than agree to a particular contract that's on here now, we pass a motion that gives the clerk, because what I'd like to suggest is I've done a bit of research on this between last time and this week, and if we bought the handsets and then took out a SIM-only contract for the 2-year duration that these ones would all be on, we could save ourselves almost £2,000. So over the duration of that contract, and you'd save yourself even more at the end of that 2 years, because at the end of that 2 years, normally you'd still be paying the full contract rate.
Yes.
And actually we can buy SIM-only deals for as little as £8 a month.
Yes, yeah, there's some good SIM-only deals out there. Yeah.
Unlimited text and 10 gigabytes of data, which would be more than ample for what they need. So what I'd like to propose is that we authorise the clerk to enter into a contract that over a 2-year period would not exceed the total cost of the contract before us this evening. But that she can look at best value options available to go for. And the other advantage of that would be that also you can buy the phones, and then if you didn't need to be using one, you can even take it off the contract for a period of time and then just take the phone back out the bottom drawer when you do need it again. So there's I'm not wanting to increase the spend. I think we can decrease it over 2 years by a couple of £1,000, or almost a couple of thousand. But if we pass a motion tonight, the cost on the agenda in front of us is that there would be a monthly cost of £211.50. So you multiply that by 24 to get the contract cost over 2 years. And we can pass a motion that says the total cost of a capital purchase plus revenue spend on whatever contract the clerk ends up signing to can be no more than 24 times £211.50.
Yeah.
Yeah, Linda, you happy with that?
1,076.
Yeah, and those handsets then they would just come under our own insurance, wouldn't they?
Yes, yeah, they would.
Yeah,
And
our
that
own
would be the
assets.
case anyway, Vanessa,
Yes.
unless you were paying extra for the insurance.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's a David. Sorry, just before we go to members. Yes.
To highlight that you might find that some of the staff have dual SIM phones. So if you were just buying SIM-only contracts, could we simply put the council SIM into the phone we've got? I don't know. Just save the capital cost of the phones.
I like the idea, but I just think that, would I expect that in my workplace if they said, here's a SIM card, switch it out every single time? I'd probably tell them where to put that SIM card.
I couldn't do that with mine because mine is an Apple.
And a lot of them are, they're, I don't know, John probably knows the technicalities, but.
Joe, we did a similar exercise at Wiltshire Council. Pat will remember this, with councillors and iPads, because councillors were saying, can't we use our own iPad when we went paperless? The motion that Wiltshire Council passed, I know this, I wrote it, made account of that. And what it said was we budget for and offer a device to every individual. If an individual says, I would rather have it as a second one inside my own phone, if their manager deems that that is appropriate for them, then we can do that. Or we say, no, you have to have the phone. So what I'm saying is we budget today for all of them. If somebody did turn around and say, actually, I want dual SIM in my phone, I can live with that. I think that's better for me. And if their line manager agrees that that is appropriate, and I think there is an important factor here, because the bit for me on this and the bit for me that makes me say we should do this is the point that you raised earlier, Chair, which is that actually this gives the ability to turn off the work phone when they are not. And if it's a dual SIM phone on their normal phone, you don't turn it off.
No,
So
that's right.
Yeah,
that's
that's my concern.
I think that's an operational matter for our managers to deal with. What we need to say is that we are authorising provision of it for everybody.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, John. I'm happy. I'm happy with that. I'm happy to second that. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add in regards
the total contract price for 24 months at that 211.50 is 5,076. So I think to include that amount in the resolution, then it's very clear what the upper limit is.
Yep. Okay. So I'm happy to second that. Anybody else, or should we just go to the vote? Do we need a vote on that, Linda?
Yes.
Do you want a resolution?
Yeah, we need a vote.
Okay. All those in favour then? Oh, sorry, Richard, do you have a question before we start?
Excuse me.
No, Richard's putting his hand up then. Everybody okay with that? I think everybody's good with that. Yep, lovely.
And that
All
is,
right.
I have included the gross cost. So if we save money, that's good in the budget. So it's already been included in the budget.
Yes, absolutely. No, that's brilliant. All right, lovely. Fantastic. Okay, let's move on then to the last item, but of course the biggest one. So we're going to talk now about the grants. Now, John, did you want us to, oh, sorry, Richard, yes.
Could I ask, it's not on our list, but I did mention this to Pat about a week or so ago. Could we consider a grant to the British Legion? Because they, unless we've already given them one, they're going to have extreme difficulty this year with their fundraising, with the poppy sales. The appeal is very important for
Yes, of
obviously
course.
service people, and I would like to propose that we do, if we haven't already given them a funding, that we do this year a one-off payment to the British Legion.
Yes, would that just be a donation, Linda, rather than a
I
grant?
could put that on the council agenda for next week if you would.
Yes, can we do that? Richard, do you have a figure in mind?
I was going to suggest £500.
That's a nice round figure. Does everybody else think that's appropriate, or less or more? What do you think?
I want it to go onto an agenda because I think it muddies the water on grants.
Yes,
So
that's
I
what
would much
Linda's saying. She would put it on next week.
As long as it goes on as a donation, as a special donation for this year.
Yeah.
I don't want it to go through the grant system because they
No,
haven't
no.
applied, and that's going to be
Yes.
that can cause
No,
all sorts of issues.
One-off.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll put it
no issues with it, Richard. at
I'll
all.
put it on next week's council agenda.
on for next week. Does everybody think that? I mean, obviously, the figure will be up for debate next week anyway. But Richard, your recommendation is £500.
Does anyone want to second that? Then it's a recommendation.
Yes, I'll second that one. That's absolutely fine. Thank you, Richard. Lovely.
Is
Now,
everyone in favour?
sorry.
Everyone in favour?
Oh, everyone in favour of that? Lovely. That's fantastic. Thank you. That's everybody. Now, right. So we're up to grants. So, John, what did you want to do? Oh, sorry, Linda. Yes.
I just want to let members know the budget situation, and then
Right.
your declarations. Right.
Right.
We have budgeted 15,000 for general grants.
Mhm.
And the amount that has been applied for and is in this lovely spreadsheet that Miriam's done comes to 27,950. So there's a short,
27,950, Linda.
yeah, 27,950.
Thanks.
There's a shortfall of 12,950. If it's reminded to grant, so if you were minded to grant everyone what they've asked for, we can make a recommendation to the council that shortfall of 12,950 was met from the general reserve. So that's for the norm, people that have applied just for a one-off grant.
Yes, that's not the red circle ones.
The red circled grants, we have a total budget of, what is it? Oh my God, where's it gone? 38,000.
Sorry, say that again.
How
Linda,
much
sorry.
again?
38,000.
Thank you.
Yes.
The grant to CAB, Young Melksham, Christmas Lights, Party in the Park, Food and River, grants to the Carnival, TIC, and the Trans Wilts. That totals 38,000. So you've got 38,000 budgeted.
Yes.
On the spreadsheet before you tonight, we've got an amount of 42,296 has been applied for. So there's a shortfall of 4,296 if you were minded to go with all of what's been applied for tonight. So we'd need a resolution to next week that is met from the general.
Can I just, I mean, I won't obviously be voting on it, but I did ring Miriam on Friday afternoon, and I still want to be absolutely assured that you don't think the Food and River Festival are asking for £4,000 out of next year's budget. We're asking for the £3,000 to be rolled over and for 1,000.
Yeah.
As long as you've included that in your figures, because that could have actually got you back to where you wanted to be.
Yeah, no, we have, because
That's
next
fine.
year we budget, we'll put that in. You will budget that amount.
That's absolutely fine. I just wanted to make certain that if I could get you your 3,000 easily, it was sorted.
Fine.
But that's fine. I'll shut up again now then.
Okay, Terry, before we start.
Yeah, I really feel that we need to look at each individual
we will
application, because
we're
just giving them and saying, well, take what you asked for.
We're going to go through it one by one. And
that was just aid members, so to help you.
Yes.
We weren't with any
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Let's give it.
Right, lovely. So before we start, and before I ask John what he wants to do, can I just say, Miriam, these spreadsheets are lovely. Very, very, you can see the work that you've put into it. So thank you very, very much, because Linda said that you were responsible for that. So it's absolutely brilliant. So John, what would you like to do? Would you like to pop off for now and we do young Melksham and age friendly first? Yes, or do you want to do that last? Oh, you're on mute.
I'm indifferent, but I know Philippa is hanging on for the age.
Oh, okay. Let's do them
Probably wants
first then.
to actually enjoy her evening. So why don't you do those first, and I can go make myself a cup of coffee.
All right, you do that.
Phone me when you want me back, because I'll have to leave the meeting because I'm declaring it. Although it's not prejudicial interest, I am declaring a non-pecuniary interest. So
John,
that's why I'm not present when you debate the two items.
Yeah, John, why don't you pop off and then log back in, but Linda, don't let him back in until we're ready. So that way we don't have to call him and he can have his coffee.
David.
We'll do that?
Yep.
Yeah. David,
okay.
David.
See you in a bit. All right. Should we let's do young Melksham first. Yeah. Because that's a big one. Let me just find sorry, I've got all my paperwork everywhere. Let's go down the bottom.
The last one.
Very last one. Hang on.
Typical.
Scroll down. Hang on.
It's the red.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the top one of the red circled ones.
Yes. Right, lovely. So young Melksham. Okay. Would anybody like to start us off with any queries, comments, suggestions at all for young Melksham? I think they've applied for just the normal 10,000 that they did last year as well. Adrienne?
Yeah,
yes.
I'm absolutely in favour of giving young Melksham £10,000. That's what we did. We promised it to them for 3 years, so that's fine. I do have one fairly big concern, though, and that is that if you look at the application forms, they have said that they are applying as a private company, as a limited company, and therefore under section, I don't know what the section is, Linda, they don't need to put in any accounts or audited accounts. But yet as a charity, in September, they had audited accounts for their charity status. And I'm very confused. Are they a private company, limited company, or are they a charity? And now they could be both. But everybody else has to put audited accounts in, and I don't see why they should be any different. But I'm absolutely happy to give the £10,000. But I would like that clarified with a letter or an email to Bev, because she wrote the application. It just was very confusing as to why they were claiming that they didn't have to put audited accounts in, because small businesses don't have to have audited accounts. That's fine. But are they a small business or are they a charity?
Right. Yeah, I see what you mean, because at the top it says charity and it's got the charity number.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, 10,000, not a problem. Obviously, all the brilliant work that they do year in, year out. Can I also make a suggestion while we're at it? I know we already talked about this. This was earlier in the year. Do you remember when they asked for the sponsorship as well for the 250? And we did suggest earlier in the year that we sort of, instead of them having to do the sponsorship and the grant separately, that we just gave them 10,250, and that included then the sponsorship as well. Is that going to complicate matters, or
what?
The sponsorship that passed now, but you could agree if you wanted to put it in next year's budget.
We did ask them to put it in their grant application this year round.
Right. Okay. So they haven't put it in. They've just put in for the 10,000 rather than the 10,250. It's their Young People Awards that they do every year.
Oh, thank you. Right.
Yeah.
Did they do it this year? I'm not sure.
No, they haven't done it this year, obviously. They're not being able to, like lots of other groups.
Oh, right. So they've still got that 250.
Yeah, they must have
right.
it because we granted them last year.
Yeah.
No, I agree with what has been said, that, you know, we promised them the £10,000 for 3 years. We need to maintain that promise.
Of course, yeah.
Equally, I am very concerned about the lack of accounts. This enables larger groups to just say, oh, they'll give us the money, it doesn't matter. We don't have to produce the accounts. It's so very important that we are in a position to have those accounts. So Miriam wants to say something.
Sorry, Miriam, I didn't see you there. Go ahead.
I think they did send accounts. It's at the end.
They're not audited.
Oh, I see. That's the difference. Got it.
Yeah, we're missing the audited accounts. Right. So should for young Melksham then, should we just do the 10,000, but also again just politely remind them that if they could just include the sponsorship in the thing as well, just to make it easier. So 10,250 for next year, and that. So what, we're happy to recommend this one to full council for approval, but just could we get some audited accounts? Is that what you're saying, Adrian?
Well, I want to know, are they applying as a limited company or are they applying as a charity? They appear to have both status.
Yes, because up the top it does say charity and it's got the charity number, but we don't have the audited accounts.
But then if you look down lower, they are saying on the application form, they're saying that under section something of the 2006 Act, they don't have to produce audited accounts. I don't mind, but I mean, are they a charity or are they a limited company? And then it makes a difference because the accounts which have been put to the charity commissioners are very different from what we've seen.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the accounts for Companies House do not have to be audited. They can be submitted and accepted as unaudited.
Absolutely, Richard.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm totally agreeing with you. Totally agreeing with you. But all I'm saying is, are they applying as Young Melksham, a limited company, or Young Melksham, a charity? Because then the rules are different. They'll still get their £10,000. It's about getting our housekeeping in order, I think.
I think just to sort of make sure that we're doing everything by the book, I'd be happy with that too. I mean, it's just another piece of paper, isn't it? So, Adrian, what you're suggesting is happy with the 10,000. Is everyone happy with the 10,000, or do we want to go 10,250, including? No, just the 10,000.
10,000.
Okay, but just remind them about the sponsorship for next year.
Yeah.
But just ask for a little bit more information. Is that all we're saying?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying is, are they a limited company or are they a charity?
Okay. Yep. Lovely. Anyone else have any comments on that one, or is everybody happy with that? Pretty straightforward. Yeah. Terry, did you have something you wanted to say?
I'm happy with it.
Right. Linda, do you need us to sort of, vote on each one?
Yeah, if we could have a resolution.
Yep. Okay.
So throwing it back to council, I thought this committee had authority to award the grants because it's
It's always gone to full council.
It's
Linda.
always gone to full council just to resolve.
I'm not saying that that's right, but that's what's always happened.
All right.
No, the whole lot to council as one item.
Yeah.
And full council then just says yes. That's or they debate it further.
So
or if they're not happy with something, they send it back to the finance and admin committee. But that never really happens. They're usually quite happy with it.
Right,
but
so
maybe we've been doing it wrong, Linda, for the last.
No, not at all. I just thought that this committee had the authority, and because it's in the budget, obviously, save for the extra, the shortfall, that this committee could award them tonight. But if you want to award them, you make a resolution to award them, and it just goes to council next week for members to see what's been awarded. But if you want it again at council, that's fine as well. It just seems quite a long-winded process because there might be further questions.
Right. So what's your suggestion, that we just yes or no for tonight?
Miriam,
Miriam? Sorry, Miriam.
Sorry, I think there was a previous meeting when the grants first came up. At that meeting, it was resolved that this committee bring it back to full council. I think I remember that resolution. I can't find it right now, but
we've been doing that for the past couple of years that I've been on the council.
Been doing it the whole time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Let's do that then. But is everybody happy with the 10,000 for Young Melksham? We just need a bit of extra paper.
Yes.
Oh, is that yes, Adrian?
Well, yes, I mean, obviously that takes us, obviously, if we're going to do everything, it's going to take us to 42,000, doesn't it? I'm happily in favour
No,
of it.
not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but this is the red circle ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Everybody happy with that? 10,000 for young Melksham. Just need that extra piece of paper. Lovely. I think that's everybody. Brilliant. Okay. Now, flipping from red circle to normal grants. Let me get my bit of paper up. Let's go to, where is it?
Age friendly.
Age friendly. Sorry, laptop's being slow. Oh, what's it doing? No, I don't want that. Okay, let me just find it. Hang on. Where are you? So see age friendly Melksham. Here we are. Lovely. Okay, so we've got the application here. Obviously, lots of information in there, and we are looking at what's the grant? How much are they asking for? 5,000. Right. Anybody want to start us on questions, comments, anything at all?
Well, I'll start then.
Thank you,
Again,
Adrian.
absolutely no issues with actually doing this £5,000 grant. There's a couple of queries I've got though. This first one is, because there's been a lot of issues over this, hasn't there? So this is to do the community response and to write the 3-year action plan. So it's two things. Am I right in thinking that? That's how I'm reading it. So it's two things. It's the community response and to write the action plan.
Yeah.
I did notice when I looked at the financials, there's no money in from Melksham Town Council when we put the 2,200 and whatever it was in. There's no money in from Melksham Seniors, that was 3,000, and there's no money showing from Melksham Without Parish Council, who I think put 2,000 dida in as well. So that comes, I think this is this £9,000, you know. I couldn't find it there. What I don't want to see, that money's gone to Wiltshire Council at the moment.
Yeah, they've still got it.
Yeah, they have, Linda. But what I don't want them to do, Linda, and I hope that we can actually write an email or write a letter about this, is to put that in as their financial contribution towards age friendly.
As in Wiltshire Council is?
Because they've got the money. They've got the 9,000, but they're only custodians of that £9,000.
Yeah.
Knowing how Wiltshire Council can manage to not spend money, I am concerned that they will then hand that money over and say that's Wiltshire Council's contribution. So can we please email Wiltshire Council as high as we can and make absolutely certain that that money goes to this project.
Yes, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
lovely.
It's not Wiltshire Council's contribution. We've already paid 2,250. It went out on the 18th of March. The seniors paid it on the 23rd of March. So Wiltshire Council have had this money since March.
Yeah.
Why hasn't it gone? I can't see it's gone. It may have gone. Maybe, you know, John perhaps might have been able to help us with that. But I can't see it's gone. It may have gone, but can we query that? And
I don't think it has, because I've asked Peter Dunford what it's been spent on.
Right. Okay. And that is going to go. That's going to go to the CIC. So that's how much is that? Like 7,000, 8,000.
It's about £9,000.
Right. We say 9,000.
Wiltshire Council are hanging on to, and as far as I can see, it's age friendly's money. So I'm a little bit unhappy that Wiltshire Council are hanging on to our money, which is for age friendly.
Yeah.
And the other one that I'm concerned about, and Linda's going to know exactly what I say, I actually believe if we give this grant, then we should not be actually having our staff working on this project.
Yeah.
People work on it as volunteers. I don't have any issues with people who are part-time working on it voluntarily. But I am concerned that we still have members of staff who are very well paid. And, you know, we had a member of staff working on it on October the 16th. We had a member of staff working on it on the 19th of October, the 29th of October, and the 16th of October. And they're full-time members of staff. We're paying their salary to be Melksham Town Council officers, not to work for the CIC.
So
And
can I just ask, because I'm a little confused about this application. So is the grant essentially for the continuation of the community response?
It's both.
I hope not.
It's both. It's continuing community response service for those isolating with robust framework for volunteers, working with stakeholders on a 3-year action plan to support isolated and vulnerable people. So I see 2 projects there.
Right. So the stakeholder thing, the steering group, we've already contributed to that. The 2,300, we did that in March. Even though everybody knows this, that my feelings are it was never resolved. We've already paid the money, so it's already done. So we've already contributed to that project. So is the remaining amount essentially for the continuation of the response, which is already being operated by the town council anyway? Terry?
I thoroughly agree with the comments about our staff working on this. We as a town council have spent a lot of money supporting the community response. You know, it was necessary, but it's now really not. I have also a concern with the seniors. Reading the paperwork backing up this grant, it says that the seniors will be working with the age friendly as the only possible serving member of the seniors, because Mr. Warwick's in hospital. I have heard nothing. So I'm concerned.
I think we've got too many questions right now and not enough information. Does anyone else have any questions or comments or observations on this one at all? Mike? Still on mute, Mike. There
Okay,
you go.
sorry about that.
That's all right.
I think Adrienne makes a really good point actually, and that's the fact that if we do agree to grant this money, it should be on the understanding that okay, this organisation is going to take on the running of this service, and the valuable time that our staff have been spending on it, although it's been well utilised, that should cease because we're making a financial contribution instead. So I think that's a very good point, and one that should be made if we are minded to approve this grant.
Thanks, Mike. Does anybody else have any thoughts, questions, observations? I don't really know what to do with this one.
Well, I want to make a proposal that we do support this, subject to some conversations with Age Friendly to clarify the situation, that they must understand that our staff cannot work on this anymore unless they're volunteering. I know that we have part-time members of staff who volunteer, absolutely no issues, you know, what people do in their own time, but it's the full-time members of staff who really, we've got an awful lot to do in Melksham.
Yeah.
You know, COVID's thrown an awful lot of curveballs our way, and we've got a lot of things which we want to do, and we want to get done within, you know, by spring of next year. And we haven't really got the time, I don't think, for our very, very well-paid officers to be able to support this. Give them their 5,000, absolutely. Find out where this other 9,000 is as well. You know, let's support them financially as much as we can. But that doesn't mean that that our full-time officers can actually continue to work on this. And those have to be agreed. They have to be agreed.
The other thing as well. Sorry, just a sec. Sorry. The other thing as well that we have to remember is it hasn't been through council that we are going to hand this operation over to the CIC. So we still have to do that. The council has to agree to hand it over. So I think actually this grant is more of an issue in 2 parts, or not an issue, but we've got a potential solution here in 2 parts. It does need to go to full council. Full council need to obviously look at the option of handing this over to the CIC because there's data protection issues as well. We can't just allow it to happen now. You've got to do all the data protection stuff that goes along with it. In doing that, that's when we can say, okay, well, we've already contributed towards the steering group, the 2,300, and can we also look at contributing another, you know, few thousand towards the actual operation of the CIC to continue the community response specifically. So it kind of feels like it does need to go to full council to discuss those two things because it is in two parts. And the other thing as well is Linda has been trying to organise a meeting with John, again with the chairs of the council, to just look at the proper options for this moving forward as well. Linda, do you have anything you wanted to add in regards to that?
No, it's fine. Just waiting for a confirmation that we meet to discuss it.
Yeah, but
okay.
I am very clear that I think we should be supporting this with the 5,000.
Oh yes, yeah.
But subject to clarification.
We just need to work out a few things first, and we do need a proper, and Adrian, I feel like it just needs to be a proper paper trail. There needs to be a proper resolution of council that this kind of thing gets handed over to the CRC, and it needs to be done for all councillors, not just the finance and admin committee, because I don't think we have the authority to do that, or the delegated authority to do that. It has to be full council. So I'm just kind of feeling like, yes, we need to support it, absolutely, but the way in which we support it needs to be discussed by all councillors.
Why is it taking Wiltshire Council 7 months to hand this money over?
I don't know at all. Now, Philippa wanted to say something. So Philippa, what we need to do though is we need to suspend standing orders to allow you to speak. Okay, so I propose that we suspend standing orders to allow Philippa to have a chat to us. Does everybody agree with that?
A seconder, just.
Oh, I need a seconder, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Pick one. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Lovely. Philippa, over to you.
Well, in fact, you had picked up exactly what I was going to say, which was that the town council, as I understood it, hadn't made a decision on this about going forward. But we had understood that should the decision be that they would go forward and staff would no longer be supporting us, that would be fine. We wouldn't expect a financial contribution and staff from the council supporting us. And in the event of that eventuality, we have recruited some volunteers who are just being trained up to take calls. So I wanted to make it clear that that wasn't an expectation from us, really.
Yes. Okay.
It is actually written in the application that the town council staff would continue to support. So that's a really helpful clarification, Philippa.
Thank you very much, Philippa.
Okay.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add while we've suspended standing orders just for you?
Do you know if that money's come in from Wiltshire Council, Philippa?
I wasn't aware that it hadn't, actually. I am quite surprised at that, but there is no reason that I would know that. So
okay, I was just out of interest, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Seems wrong. I mean, maybe they have, and I'm being unfair to Wiltshire Council.
I think the other thing I would just like to pick up is a comment that was made earlier about the Melksham Community Support Service. And as you know, we were very well used in the first lockdown, and people were really just fantastic about it and very appreciative. And we have never stopped. I mean, the result of that really was that I was recruited to continue age-friendly work, including some of the MCS work, the Melksham Community Support. And we're finding now that people are coming back to us. And in fact, we have contacted all of the users that we've had where we've been given permission to, and they are very grateful that we're still here, and requests are increasing now that we're in lockdown again. So I was just concerned that there was a comment to say that it's not needed now, because I think we have really highlighted that this service is much appreciated and is needed by people, and they've been, everyone we've contacted, which is about 350 of our users over the past few days, over the weekend, have been hugely appreciative and said thank you so much, we're very relieved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philippa.
Adrian?
Can I just ask, I mean, you've brought an interesting point up actually, because I think I, as a councillor, I'm incredibly confused as to what your name is, and not Philippa, because in March it was the community hub. On August the 20th, John wrote to the Independent News calling it the Community Support Service. It's called Age Friendly. It's called the community response. I actually get all the messages in on the app. I don't know whether Mike still gets that. That's Melksham Community Tasks. It's now called MCS. Please, can we have one name for this organisation? Because
we'll make a condition of the grant that you pick one name.
Can you please choose your name and keep it to that? Because I think it's quite confusing, because Mike mentioned earlier, we are hoping to maybe set up a community hub. Now, the train people have called theirs a community hub as well. We've got 3 community hubs in Melksham at the moment. So can we just please stick to one name? So I think
I have to say that actually coming into post in September, I have been very confused as well.
Good.
But
so it's not just me
we are age-friendly Melksham, and part of the work we do is obviously, originally with the 4 partners, with the 3 partners, was the Melksham community support, and we have continued that. So that's part of the work, one of the work streams that we have. But there are other things that age-friendly are, which would be, for instance, the 3-year plan for the age-friendly status. I think our users have called us the hub. I'm not quite sure why, but it seems to be that people in Melksham have started to call us different things, but we call ourselves age-friendly, and you know, Melksham community support is part of what we do.
Right. Okay. Lovely. Thank you very much
for that, Philippa, for helping me out on that one.
Councillors, are we happy to go back into normal session?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Not a problem. Thank you very much. So, what's the resolution then that we really need to sort of tackle this issue twofold at a full council? Linda, is it possible to put this on for next week? Is there still time?
Yeah.
Right. So, so what we'll be doing is talking about, I guess, the future of the community response, community support, whatever we're going to call it.
Community support.
Melksham Community Support.
Philippa's told us that's what it's called.
Now, we've already obviously given a little bit of money for the steering group. If it's possible to find out that money has actually gone to the age-friendly, and then it's really just a matter of, you know, how much we'd like to look at contributing in terms of financial support.
Well, I would like to recommend that we do put on the agenda next week that we will support up to 5,000, subject to councillors agreeing to a few conditions. That's all. That's all I want to say. But I absolutely want people to know that 5,000. We are talking about 5,000 for them.
Can we get some clarification from Age Friendly that the grant is, I guess, because they've included the steering group in there and they've already had money for the steering group?
What steering group? Support.
Yeah, Terry, this is the Age Friendly steering group.
Thank you. Yeah.
That the seniors have also contributed to.
Yes.
Because they've essentially put both of those things in the grant, we've already contributed. So we just need to clarify that they're asking for 5,000 just to continue the community support. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think
we've already given a bit for the steering group. So Linda, can we just get a little bit of clarification that the grant application is 5,000 for the continuation of the community support, because we've already given for the steering group. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Now, Adrian proposed that. I'm happy to second it. Is everybody in favour of that going to next week's meeting so we can discuss it properly? Yeah. Richard, are you okay with that, or are you abstaining? Oh, you're okay with that? Thank you, Richard. All right, lovely. That's fantastic.
And Philippa, thank you so much for helping us out tonight.
You can go and enjoy your evening now. And let's let John back in so we can continue on our merry way. Oh, there he is. Hello, John. All right. So shall we then continue with the rest of the grants? Should we go through the red circled ones first? We'll get the big ones out the way. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Lovely. So let's start off then with Carnival. Now, Miriam, you're going to have to help me with this because even though your spreadsheets are absolutely lovely, I just need to basically get an understanding of how much each group is actually asking for next year, because sometimes they're asking for lump sums, including this year and next year, and so Carnival itself. I'm just going through. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through.
It's the bottom one.
Top one.
Just to make life more complicated.
Right, we're dealing with Carnival. So how much are Carnival asking for? The estimated cost of their project is £6,000.
They left the form blank, but when I asked, I said, do you want to specify an amount? And they said, we'll leave it for councillors to decide. So
Right.
last year it was 2,500. So I put that in as a starting point, I think.
Right. Councillor, thoughts? Terry?
Presumably, they had last year's grant. How much did they have last year?
2.5.
2.5, which
Yeah.
has not been spent.
I
Was
don't
they
think
not?
so.
No. So anything that we're adding this year is on top of that to run the carnival. So my suggestion is 1,500.
Okay, because they've got here estimated cost of the project 6,000. Balance at the end of the year was, well, about 6,500. So they've got a bit of cash in there, but obviously we want to top them up a bit because we don't want to leave them right down to nothing.
Yeah.
So Terry put a figure forward. What does everybody else think?
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Mike, were you going to say something or just sort of $1,500? Now we can't see you, Mike.
Yeah, sorry, fat fingers. Yeah, I was just going to second that as well.
Yeah, because, well, 1.5 will top them up, give them a bit of a buffer as well, for next year, and so should bring them up to about, what's that, 8,000. So
Yeah,
the
because-
cost of the project, they'd
Yeah, I
still
was
have
gonna-
enough in there.
Sorry,
If they
Vanessa.
wanted-
I was going to say,
Yeah.
of course, everything, they shouldn't have spent an awful lot of money because lockdown was in March. They didn't actually have any of their Carnival Queen competitions or anything. And and the biggest money, a lot of the money goes on the actual procession, having to
Yes.
have
And
all
the outfits. Yeah.
So you don't spend anything. So I think that's a fair thing. So they keep £2,500 from last year, which they didn't
Yes.
spend.
Yeah.
And we top them up with 1.5. Yeah.
Yeah, and that should give them a bit of a buffer if they want to do something extra special next year, if we're obviously allowed to do anything. Right, so we got Terry proposed 1.5. John seconded. Everybody okay with 1,500 for Carnival? Yep, that's everyone. Lovely. All right, let's move on then to. Sorry, I'm scrolling. Christmas lights now. Christmas lights. I know we already sort of talked about giving them around 10,000, but looking at the information here, I know Paul is sort of saying that he keeps on spending more and more money. What's everyone's thoughts on the Christmas lights? It's the biggest thing in town.
Yes.
What are we thinking? Mike, what are you thinking?
Right. I'm almost scared to raise this in case I get shot down, but I'm a little bit concerned that we seem to be giving money to the business that's actually providing the service as opposed to a charity. Again, as Adrienne asked earlier on, are they a business or are they a charity? Because Paul Weymouth obviously does Christmas lights commercially for other towns, for Whitehall, I believe. So it just seems a little bit of a grey area to me. And also I've asked the question, I mean, there has to be a value put on the hours that's put in by the volunteers. And I'm just curious as to what that is, because if you add all that up, plus the grant money, it's actually seems to me, I could be wrong, but it seems to me on the face of it quite a good deal from a business point of view.
No, you're not going to get shot. No, you're not going to get shot down for raising that. That's absolutely fine. Thoughts from anyone else? Pat,
Well,
up the top there.
I would hope that he keeps some kind of separate accounts about what he spends on the town and what he does as a commercial enterprise. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I would hope so too. John, were you going to say something?
I wasn't, but if I was going to, I'd say two things. One, having already publicly said we're going to give them 10,000, if we're now going to say we're not, then we're going to have to be able to cover that off. But secondly, I've always made the assumption, and I'm pretty worried if I'm wrong in this, that there was a separate bank account and set of accounts for Melksham Christmas lights. And that is what is presented and gone against every year. And if we're not getting a set of accounts on Christmas lights and there's not a separate bank account that money's being paid into, then I think we're probably exposing ourselves to, you know, a considerable, because what we're actually doing is putting money then into a commercial concern.
Yes, yeah. Adrian,
and even if that commercial concern is doing it on a, you know, pro bono basis for labour and all the rest of it, we've got to make sure that we're not, the clerk will be able to advise us on this, but I would have thought we've got to make sure we're not effectively procuring that service from a commercial body rather than giving a grant to a not-for-profit organisation.
Yes. Adrian?
I just know that Jean Harris was the treasurer of Melksham Christmas Lights.
Oh,
and whether she still is, I don't know, but there certainly was a separate account. And she was the treasurer. I'm going back a few years, John, and maybe, you know, I'm all in favour again of doing the 10,000. I certainly wouldn't want to renege on that either. But I do think maybe at some stage in the next 6 months, we need to have a conversation with Paul about it and whether or not, and making certain that there is a bank. I'm sure there is a bank account, but I just would like, as Micah said, you know, we just need to get these things clarified, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that I remember from a conversation with Paul that, you know, a chunk of that, I think £500 straight away is just for the insurance. And he purchases new lights. This year it's something weird to do with low voltage digital something or other lights. I don't know. And then that's where the bulk of the cost comes from. But Mike, you're absolutely right to question it. And I think the only thing to sort of weigh up, yes, Richard, I see you in a minute, is that yes, we give it as a grant, has to be done properly though, of course. If we were to pay for the Christmas lights to be done every year, I fear that the cost would be, you know, in excess of £25,000.
More than that.
Yeah.
You're probably looking at 40,000.
Right.
It's still good money. It's good value for money, but we have to get it right.
Yes, absolutely. There needs to be a paper trail, everything done properly. Richard, you had your hand up.
Yeah. Much of what they would have done for this year's light show will already have been done. They may well have been, I'm not sure, but they would have been working on the various features and light fittings, whatever. And so much of the expenditure would now have been done. And I was going to ask Miriam, did we not exceed Pauline's request earlier in the year? He wasn't asking for quite so much. Did we get a second application, or are we doubling up on what he asked for?
He expected the usual, which was going to be 7,000, and then for this occasion I asked him to fill in a form, but since it was announced it would be 10,000, that's what was put on the form. It's not additional. I mean,
no, it's not additional. No. Yeah. No, it's not additional, and I think he estimates the actual cost of the project really comes in at cost value of £14,000, and he gets a little bit from donations. Although, do they not get you know, the usual fireworks they put on?
No, they've not managed any of the fundraising events this year,
and also their boxes haven't been filled because
people haven't been shopping.
People have not been going past. And the thing is, I think there's still going to be a bit of a shortfall, you know, even if we look at or look, you can see the balance at the end of the year was about 1,150 left over. we're looking at a grant request of £10,000 for a project that's going to cost about 14,000. So, very much hoping next year that they can put on their fireworks display, because I know that's where they get a bit of their funding from as well. Does anyone else have any observations, questions about this one at all? Or yes, Mike?
The only other thing that's just occurred to me is we've heard there's going to be loads of new lights this year. What happens to the old lights, and is there a commercial value to them, and where does that value go?
So good question. Do we, Linda, do we then own the lights? Is that what's all that's in that storage behind the town hall?
No, we don't own the lights. It's like any charity or community.
Oh, they're hired, aren't they? They're essentially hired.
I don't know if they're hired or not, but we're not purchasing the goods. We're just supporting the group. Yeah.
Okay, it's still a good question to ask. What happens to the lights at the end of the year or the end of the season? Is it possible just to check with Paul what actually happens with all of that? Where does he store it? It's just, I think are you just more curious than anything else, Mike?
Yeah. I mean, well, all I'm saying is if we're paying X amount per year and he's buying new lights, I'm just curious as to what happens to the old lights. I mean, the cynic in me says, is he selling them to somebody else? But I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that we don't award a 10,000 grant. I was just curious about certain aspects. That was all.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. It's a good question to ask. Can we find out?
Yeah, he probably refurbishes them because he uses the same lights year on year as far as they work. They do have a shelf life, and a lot of the lights now are the older ones have to be scrapped because they're just not repairable or usable. So
they're quite old. And I know it's not really a part of the grant itself, and I know he hasn't put it in there, but Paul does a lot of other random things for us throughout the year, doesn't he, Linda? And half the time he doesn't bother charging or sending a bill. So I know that he does a lot of stuff for us, but I think 10,000 this year is probably more than appropriate if it's got to cover the costs of those special super duper lights or whatever they are. So is everybody okay with 10,000 for the Christmas lights?
Yeah.
Linda, do you need to propose a seconder and all that?
At the end is we've got a note of everything you said. If we just propose whatever you agree tonight is in one recommendation, and we can list all them.
All right, so we're fine with that. So everybody's happy with that one?
Yeah.
Right, let's go on to citizens' advice. So again, Miriam, do you want to? Sorry, having a sip of drink there. Did you want to talk us through this one, because they're asking for? So is that what they're asking for this year? It's 5. Is it 5,000? 5,796. Yep. How much do they normally get? 5,000.
Last year was 5,000.
It's been that for many years.
Right.
It hasn't ever been put up, and I think maybe that's what they've asked for this year. That's what we go with. But maybe, and again, another conversation is needed with them, because, I mean, they do a good job. I know they take over the town hall, and that's a real issue. That's a different story. But they haven't been around this year, but that's not their fault either, is it?
No, I guess not. So I'm going to ask a question then, and same lines as what Mike was doing before in regards to just asking the question. Am I seeing this right, that their financial information and annual accounts show that they've got savings in their reserve, cash or investment, at nearly £450,000?
Don't forget, this is the whole of Wiltshire, Vanessa.
I know. I'm again just asking the question. John?
I think one of the things we need to be mindful of when we're looking at these is that what shows in formal accounts, which they're going to be having to have as available reserves, isn't necessarily what is available reserves for them to be able to spend on projects. Because when you're getting into accountant produced accounts, there's very strict rules on what you're allowed to demonstrate as being ring-fenced ring-fenced funds within your system. So they will have to have, for instance, they will have to have 3 to 6 months running costs in their reserves, but that has to sit in their general reserve. So it may well be a good chunk of that 450,000 is actually their rainy day fund, which accounting practice, best accounting practice says they have to have.
Yes.
But they can't show it as a ring-fenced sum because it's not ring-fenced. It's their rainy day fund. So, I mean, we have the same challenge at Young Melksham, which is that we have the funds that the accountant says are unrestricted and the funds that are actually unrestricted, because if you've got a grant that's ring-fenced, you can say that's a restricted grant. But if you've got general funds, even though you've got to have 6 months running costs there, the council has this, doesn't it? We've got in our reserves 6 months running costs in, and we're always saying, why can't we spend those funds? And Linda will be telling us you can't because that's your rainy day fund for if the precept doesn't come.
Yes.
So I just think when we look at these accounts, it's like my accounts for Young Melksham last year show we had £880,000 extra income. No, we didn't. We took on running the Canberra Centre, but on the books it has to show as income. So always be careful what you read on the accounts.
And I've just seen in tiny writing underneath, sorry, my screen is tiny. It actually says that the savings in there are for approximately 3 months of net running costs as required by the Charity Commissioner. So I've answered my question. Can I make a proposal then? Why am I asking myself, basically? Can we just make it 5,800? It just, the 769 just doesn't make sense. Should we just make it 5,800? Has anyone got any comments or queries on this one, Terry?
No, second that.
So we're going to go with a nice
5,800.
rounded figure, 5,800.
Yeah.
Is everybody happy with that, or do you think it should be less, more? What do you think, Pat?
Fine.
5,800, yeah. Okay, everybody, if you're all happy with that, just put your hand up for me. Yeah. All right, that's good. That's an easy one then. Lovely. Hang on, scrolling down to the next one here. There's lots of information there, isn't it? Food and River Festival, right? Well, Adrian,
I'm just going to mute myself.
Thank you. Right, lovely. So with this one here, from what I could read, they had their 3,000 from last year. Obviously, event didn't go ahead this year, so they're just looking at. Miriam, is it 1,000? Just 1,000 as a top up for next year?
Yeah. So they want to roll over the previous 3,000 and then 1,000 as a top up for extra costs and lack of sponsorship this year.
Yep. Okay. Lovely. Anyone got any questions, comments, concerns?
No.
John.
I have
John.
absolutely no problem with the extra 1,000 at all. But
Yeah.
what I'm confused about is, and I think Adrienne was in sort of pointing to this when she was asking her question earlier on. They received a £3,000 grant last year to fund this year's festival.
Yes.
That £3,000 hasn't been used, so they're asking for an extra £1,000 in order to be able to cover off the sort of impact. But if we give them £4,000 this year, which is what that column says at the moment, then actually over the 2-year period they're getting £7,000, not £4,000.
No. So they've
Sorry,
had 3,000.
I will come in there because it's a point of clarification. You're right, John, and that's exactly why I phoned Miriam on Friday afternoon. That is not what we are asking for. We're asking for the £3,000 that we had last year to be rolled over, and for an extra, for out of the red lined grants this year, to have 1,000 of the 3,000 of this year. Does that make sense?
So over a 2-year period, you've got 4,000.
Over the 2-year period, it's 4,000.
So that figure should actually be 1,000.
It should be, and I did phone Miriam.
Oh, it is actually. Sorry, I was looking at numbers of recipients.
Okay,
My apologies.
Sorry, I apologise then. I'll go back to sleep again, okay?
Naughty, she shouldn't have been listening. She knows that too. She can hear me as well. Right.
She's not her ears off.
Richard's got his hand up. Richard.
I move the £1,000. I think obviously this event is building up to the approval of the Melksham Link Canal.
Yes.
Obviously, this will all add to the the value of that enterprise through the town.
Yeah, so it'd be fantastic. Everybody okay with 1,000? I'll second that. It's just 1,000 for this year. So just to clarify, they're only getting 4,000 over a 2-year period.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, lovely. Adrian, you can come back in now. Lovely. All right, that was an easy one. Let's scroll to the next one. I'm still scrolling. Party in the park. Right. Do you know, I was reading this and I didn't realize how big their running costs were to put this event on. So let's look at this one. I think they've got a reduced request of similar to the Food and River Festival. Obviously, they had the 3,000 last year.
No, they didn't. They didn't, Vanessa.
Well, they've said this is in addition to 3K held from 2019.
They didn't get it.
They didn't have the event, so they didn't draw down the grant.
Oh, right. Okay. So what are they asking for then? Because it's got here, they've asked for 2,000, which is a reduced request. But they've also got they've got the brackets of this is an.
They want the rollover. They want 5,000.
They want the rollover, just the same as the Food and River Festival.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Lovely.
But we had our money.
There was a key difference. They didn't draw down the money last year.
Yes.
What they're wanting to do is say we'll take last year's money we didn't take.
Plus
another 2,000 this year, so we want a total of 5,000
over 2 years.
That's a little bit cheekier.
But with respect, what that's going to do, because the money that wasn't drawn down last year will have just gone back into the general budget because we do zero-based accounting. Yeah. So if we give them 5,000 this year, we've got to find another £3,000 in our grants budget to fund that.
Yeah.
That last year's money has gone. It will be a £5,000 grant this year if we do that.
Yeah, because all you've budgeted this year for the food for the party in the park is 3,000.
Yeah, so that's all it can be. That's all we can give them is 3,000.
Yeah.
So why didn't they take their money from last year?
Well, they chose not to have one. They didn't. They chose not to run the event back at Christmas time.
So, having a proper look though, are they basically saying costs 34K to put on?
24.
24.
Where's 24?
Yeah, because their security is very high, plus the fencing.
It's the fencing.
It's the fencing and security, which is the majority of that.
Yeah, okay.
They have about 25 security guards on, but the police insist on that because it's licensed and it's well used by underage drink. I'm not saying there's underage young people in there. And it's licensed, so they have to be very, very careful.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, so what are our thoughts on this one? So they're basically asking for 5K. Mike?
This year, though, are they not just asking for 2?
No, they want the rollover as well, Linda.
But they didn't have it.
They want the 3 from last year.
But they didn't take it last year, so it has to come from this year.
Yeah, so that right. I'm just making sure I've got it.
Well, that's my read of that. Sorry, let me just, with your permission, Chair, I'm just looking at the spreadsheet and it says there, reduced request this year, 2K, plus rollover 3K requested.
In the monitoring form, the question was asked, did you use your grant last year and would you like to roll it over? And in there it says, we'd like to roll over, yes, please, the full amount of 3K not used in 2020. And that's from last year's monitoring form. So,
it's actually got here as well. Question 4, has last year's grant been spent in accordance with its purpose? And they've written, yes, 2019 events, but it was cancelled.
But the 2019 went ahead.
Yes. Oh, sorry, 2019 went ahead. They're talking about 2020.
So then 2019
gone ahead.
20 didn't go ahead, so they're asking for that £3,000 to be rolled over to 2021.
Well, they haven't received it, therefore it can't be rolled over. I'm really sorry.
You can't have an organisation telling the town council to roll money over. That's a council decision.
But then maybe we shouldn't. I shouldn't have asked them
What
that
we can
question.
say is that we can budget the 3,000 again next year, and I have included that in the budget.
Mike had his hand up. Mike, and then David.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So if I'm reading this correctly, they want £5,000 off us. I'm just concerned that if we don't award that money, and I'm not suggesting that we should, but if we don't, I'm concerned that they might turn around next year and say they're not going to put on the event, and they're going to blame the town council for not funding it to the required level. So I wonder, is there any way the town council can step in with our team and perhaps look at organising and running the event ourselves?
Oh, no.
No.
Having been involved, no.
Mike, I completely get what you're saying. And I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say, well, it's not really the town council's responsibility to put this event on. You know, it's been organised separately and individually, and we've been asked for a contribution, but it shouldn't be the town council's sole responsibility to ensure that this event goes ahead. Lots of other organisations want to put on events, and they make sure that they are acquiring income to cover their costs. And obviously I don't want to tell Party in the Park how to run their event. That's entirely up to them. But the same as the Food and River Festival, yes, Richard, I see your hand up. The same as the Food and River Festival, it's up to them to source other areas of income to cover their costs, the same as what charities do, what, you know, John does over at Young Melksham. So, you know, the last thing we can't really have, how should I say this? We can't really have organisations, you know, holding the council to ransom. Oh, well, if you don't give us the money, this event won't go ahead. You know, it's not really our responsibility to ensure that that's happening. Richard, you had a comment?
Yes, they're very well organised over many years. They usually get sponsors, you know, commercial sponsors who provide a lot of the money. I think that normally happens. So they are, say, well organised, and we aren't giving a high percentage of the cost from the town council. It says 8% on the spreadsheet before us, but it's probably more than that. But equally, it's still not a high percentage of the total cost of the event.
And the other thing as well that I guess the difference is that we have to remember is this is a paid event. So if it was something that was being put on for free, like Carnival or Food and River Festival, where people could go to for free, I think it's a different story for the council. But this is something that people have to pay to get into. Pat?
Just to say that a lot of the businesses that Richard mentioned that sponsor them probably won't be able to sponsor them next year because they won't have had the income, will they? So rolling it over, you know, becomes important.
But they haven't got the money. But Pat, the problem here is they haven't got the money to roll over. They never took the £3,000.
Oh, right. Okay.
They're asking for 5,000. We're not offering them the 3,000 from last year. They've misinterpreted it, haven't they?
Right.
So they can have the 5,000 then?
No, they can have 3,000.
Oh,
right. David wants to say something. I'm sure he's got some valuable information for us.
I'm sure he has.
I certainly hope so, Chair. I mean, first of all, music festivals are notoriously on a knife edge financially, and it's the same everywhere you go. And certainly it'll be hard for them this time. There was discussion around the cancellation of this year's event, that it wasn't staged at all, that it was around finances. And looking at the comments, they are themselves worried about the viability at KGV and may look for alternate sites. Now, I just wonder what the consideration which you should give as a council should be if they were to relocate outside of Melksham. Because if they're looking for sites, there's not many on offer in the town itself.
They wouldn't get the money from us if they relocate.
Yeah.
Yes, John. Yeah.
We had this discussion last year because they came to us around Christmas. They said cancelled due to COVID. I'm awfully sorry, but we had an item at council, a letter from them, I think it was last Christmas, where they told us they were cancelling it for this year because they couldn't use KGV how they wanted to because of the issues over the splash pad. And my understanding from the conversations that took place then was they were talking about wanting to relocate the festival to Oakfields. So, which, you know, it may be a really good idea for them to go there. I don't know. I don't know if that ever progressed. But I'm a little disappointed to see it was cancelled this year because of COVID, because they told us last Christmas and sent us a pretty narky letter telling us that because we wouldn't do what they wanted, that they weren't going to run it this year. And you know, they're saying to us they can't guarantee they'll run it next year. So I think I would support awarding them the 3,000 we normally award them to run a festival. But I think I would be nervous about going beyond that at this stage because I don't think I've seen anything that demonstrates a need.
Yeah, I agree, John, and I do recall that letter as well. And this is what I'm trying to say. You know, we contribute to the community, quite rightly, but it's not the council's responsibility to ensure the financial viability of these events that are being put on. And I think that's where that's where the key thing is. It's not our responsibility. It's taxpayers' money at the end of the day. It's not our money to just throw away. Adrian.
Yeah, the history of this £3,000 grant, Terry will nod here, I'm sure, is it was actually used to pay for the fireworks at the end of the event. That's I'm sure Ian might be able to say something as well, because I think he was chair of it at the time, and they wanted to put fireworks on. It was going to cost a lot of money, so they came to the council for £3,000 for the fireworks. So that, you know, if you want to cut costs, cut your fireworks down, but still take your 3,000. I can't. I have to agree with John that it has to only be 3,000, and we'll have to go back to them. And I mean, perhaps they can come and we might be able to find some extra money for them. I don't know, but it doesn't make sense because they can't call down £3,000 from last financial year because that financial year has closed.
And I'm actually going to make another suggestion as well, that having a look at the sponsorship that they managed to get, which was about £500 worth for such a large event, I think there's definitely some opportunities there. So perhaps our contribution could be £3,000, and then perhaps the support from our officers, so David would be fantastic, and Miriam, in regards to how they could potentially attract more sponsorship, and just perhaps just helping them in guiding them to get more sponsorship to help out with that as well. So that could be our contribution too, rather than just giving them $5,000. Here's £3,000 and a little bit of support in terms of how to get really savvy with attracting proper sponsorship. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, quite happy to second that.
All right, brilliant. Everyone else happy with that? Oh, sorry, John.
Are they a registered charity?
Don't think so. Don't think so.
No, and see, this is the other thing as well that we need to be very, very mindful of. I mean, anybody.
But they could be a not-for-profit organisation, but not charitable. Yeah. But as part of that discussion with them is, you know, they could probably fulfil the criteria to become a charitable body. And if they did that, it would open up other funding streams for them.
Yeah. So this could be something that our officers
I would agree, Chair, and I'd support your motion on this, that we need to encourage them to be looking beyond just the town council for funding.
Yes.
We can be a significant funder, but not a sole funder.
No, absolutely agree. And yes, you know, the other way that we can support them is non-financially, with, you know, the support of our wonderful officers, just to help, you know, perhaps get them set up for success for the future. So I think Mike already seconded that. Everybody happy with that? 3,000 and a bit of support.
Can I just clarify something? Is that okay, Vanessa?
Yes.
Don't know if I'm looking at the wrong item on the list. Just I know you call it Party in the Park. Is it?
Oh,
is that
sorry,
what
it's
everybody calls Food and River Festival. No,
No.
sorry,
No,
down
this is
next one, Music Festival.
Music festival, yes.
Well, you're saying £3,000 with
Mhm.
support from everybody, but looking at this, unless I'm reading the wrong column, cost of the grant application is only 2,000.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I'm confused about where the 3,000
Yeah.
came from.
So what we're saying is, and what John was saying and everyone else is saying is, they're saying that they want the 5,000. They want $3,000 from last year and they want $2,000 from this year. Well, they can't have $3,000 from last year because last year's done and dusted. So we can't give them $5,000 from this year because $5,000 is a lot of money. So what we're saying is, instead of giving them 5,000, we're going to give them £3,000 from this year, because they missed the boat for 3,000 for last year. Even though they've got it in brackets there that they've had their 3,000, they haven't had their 3,000. See what I mean?
Maybe they misunderstood. Maybe we need a bit of clarification. Maybe Miriam needs to go back to one of them and just say, you can't have last year's money because that's not out of the financial year. So I think go back and have a conversation with them, but let's offer them 3,000 and have a conversation with them.
Right.
Let's say
Well,
3,000.
If we're going to do that, Chair,
yeah.
Can I suggest that tonight we award them the 2,000 they've asked for?
Yeah.
But get a clarification over the situation with that 3,000, because we can always revisit it. But actually, they've only asked for 2,000.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's all they've asked for.
Right. Should we do that then? But if they will need to talk to us about this 3,000 from last year, because as far as I'm under the impression that that's done, that's gone. They've missed the boat for that.
Yeah. So the 3,000 that they normally have is in next year's budget. So basically, we've done that. If you see what I mean? So we've satisfied what they've applied for. If you award them 2,000 tonight.
Right. Let's do 2,000 and some support. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody in favour? Yes. Okay. Great.
I'm just keeping a tally because obviously the shortfall is going up and down.
Yes. Yep. All right. Lovely. Next one, TIC. Terry's gone. Lovely. So let's see what they asked for. So just scrolling down. Grant requested 6,000. Is that what they normally have? What do they normally have?
Yeah, they normally have.
They normally have 4,000, Chair.
4,000. Okay. How much they got in their account? Geez, they've got less than 1,000 in their account. Gross income, expenditure. Right. Thoughts, observations, John.
Yeah, Chair, I've got a query on this one, and this is actually to do about some commonality on how we're judging these, because when it talks about number of Melksham beneficiaries, it says 15,000. I very much doubt that 15,000 Melksham residents have used the TIC this year. And I just think that we need to have a clearer understanding, actually, how many Melksham residents have used the TIC this year? Because they're asking for a 50% increase in their grant. I don't have a problem with their grant at all, but they're asking for a 50% increase in it. And in their accounts, they have demonstrated that they did make a small loss last year. And they demonstrated they have almost £40,000 worth of income. So they're not asking for a disproportionate amount of money. I absolutely, but in their grant application, it says they are serving 15,000 Melksham residents.
That'd be 300 people a week.
Oh, yeah, that sounds quite likely.
No. Even if they have 300 people a week, it's not 15. It's not 300 different people every week, totaling 15,000 people.
All right. Miriam's got a hand up. Miriam, enlighten us.
A lot of people in their application, they just, for how many people does it benefit, they put all in theirs, and all I counted as 15,000 as the population of the Melksham within the town residents.
Right. Okay.
I actually put 20,000 on theirs, which I shrunk down to 15 to meet the all, but
But with respect, Chair, if I can just follow up on that, we need to have a commonality, because Adrienne could put 15,000 on the Food and River Festival, because every resident of the town could attend the Food and River Festival. We could put 50,000 or 15,000 on Age Friendly, or on Young Melksham, or on seniors, or on any of these. It's the number of people who are using the service are the beneficiaries, not the number of people who could potentially use the service.
How would they measure that?
Well, they measure it by number of people coming through the door and identifying, everyone has to have a way of measuring it in order to be able to, or at least being able to take a good guess. I mean, it does say, if it's in italics, it's an estimate. Well, there's nothing estimated. But what we can't do is say total number of visits unless everybody does total number of visits. Because they're different
measure,
different figures.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, Pat.
They do record every sale made, and most people are going there buy something.
Yes, I understand, and I understand what John's saying as well. It's like, well, 15,000 a year. That's 300 a week, 60 people a day.
Terry would be able to tell you.
Well, can we get Terry back in so we can actually ask her? David, sorry, you had your hand up.
Just to say, Chair, to put some context in it, I mean, I've had a lot of involvement with tourist information centres.
Yes.
And more latterly, we were touching 5, 6, 7% of visitors to an area. So they don't typically have a very high percentage of local residents or visitors through the door.
And just, Chair, just to clarify, if Transwilts had come first, I'd be asking this question about Transwilts. They've got 15,000 down as well. I don't have a problem with the grant for the TIC, but I do think that as we learn from going through this grants process, we need to find a way so that there's a common method of reporting for everybody. Because what this does do is it breaks it down. It breaks it down and says, how much are we spending per beneficiary? And what we start to get is figures that become meaningless because they're being calculated very differently for each organisation. So we just need to have my point isn't I'm against the TRC grant.
No, it's okay, John.
I don't have an issue. We need a commonality of reporting.
Yes, it needs to be consistent. Okay, that's good feedback. Anyone else got any thoughts, queries about this one? I mean, they're running it on a pretty tight budget here, and I know from what they've been trying to do recently is really ramp up the things like selling stamps to get people in the door, getting different kinds of stock in. So they are trying different things.
I'll move the full 6,000, Chair. I think we need to support bodies like this.
Yeah. Okay. Seconded. Is everybody okay with that then? Yeah. Yep. Okay. Lovely. Thank you. Terry, you can come back in. She can't hear me anyway.
I can hear, but no, can't speak.
Okay. All right. Oh, it's a good thing I didn't say anything else about you then. Right. Lovely. Transwilts. Okay, let's have a look here. Anyone want to start us off? Thoughts, observations, questions? Anything at all? What are they asking for? The 5,000, is that what they get every year?
They've had 5, but we budgeted 3 this year and they haven't had that. 3.5, sorry, we budgeted for.
Right, Adrienne?
I've got no objections to the grant. I just can't ever remember them becoming a red circle grant. That was all. I can't. If someone can help remember when that happened, that would be very, very useful. Because I thought with a red circle grant, it was more to do with ongoing costs.
Yeah, it was.
And this is to do with installing the kitchen units. Now, I don't have an issue with giving them the grant at all because it's very, very important. I thought that wasn't the point of the red circle grants, but John might have an answer for me.
I can explain. I think I can explain.
Sure, Linda, you go first, then John.
I think what happened, they applied in 2018 and then said that they wanted to apply the following year, 2019, So it was set up in under our grants section in the budget, and I think that's why it's been taken as a red circle grant. That's the only reason.
What there was Adrian, this will come back to you as we talk about this. They needed there was a big grant that they were going to have. We needed to give them assurance that they were going to have the funding from us for them to be able to unlock other funding. So we passed a resolution to put it in the following year's budget so that they had something tangible that they could show to the other funders to say that the town council was going to fund it. And that's why it was an advance item in the following year's budget. But it wasn't an ongoing commitment. It was for that year we did that because we needed to demonstrate that we had committed that funding for them to unlock other funds. If I might, Chair, they say it's a £9,000 project to put in these kitchens. They're coming to us for £5,000. I haven't seen this is a capital project. I haven't seen a funding application from them to the area board unless I've missed it. We've only just done an area board funding round where the funding can only be used for capital projects. We've got another area board in December. What I'm concerned about is we're going to be tight on funding today, and some people are not going to get everything that they need or feel that they need unless we find a lot of money to top up our grants budget from somewhere. I'm worried that we are going to give a significant chunk of money to an organisation here for funding that they could get from another body, i.e. the area board. And even if they are going to the area board as well, it's only a £9,000 project. They're asking us for 5,000 of it. The area board would match fund. So they're not going to maximise the grant that they could get from the area board. So I'm actually quite worried that we're going to put a lot of money into a capital project here that there are other avenues for funding for, and we're going to take funding away from people who need it for their revenue projects.
They also haven't asked Melksham without parish council for anything either, which is surprising because they'll be using it too. So what are you suggesting, John?
Well, let me just refresh myself because I've got so many documents open on my screen. But I'm happy to make a proposal if you want. I just need to find my red line document again to see the details of their grant.
Am I saying this right as well, Miriam? That their balance at the end of the year is 71k.
That's 70. Yeah, that's what it says.
Because it's got total income nearly 87, total expenditure 65.
Balance.
Well,
70.
so they're actually saying the rest of it's going to be funded by residual funding from an area board grant. So that must be something which they. Well, can I make a recommendation, Chair?
Yes. Yeah.
I'd like to recommend that we ask them to go to the area board for this, because even if it's the same project, if it's in a different financial year, you can go back to the area board for it.
Right. So for the whole lot.
Well, I mean, it needs to be match funded, really. If they were coming to it, it's a £9,000 project. The most they could get is £4,500, because they could say they've already got £4,500 for it, but they're saying they've only got 4,000. I'm just really worried. Revenue funding is what there is such a shortage of. This is a capital project. This is exactly what area board funding is for.
Yes. Okay. Anyone else?
At least half of that 5,000 should. If I've got to do something, I'll say maximum of 2,500 from the town council, telling them to go to the area board for the other 2,500. But I do that reluctantly because I think that with a bit of work they could get more. I don't know, Pat. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think that they probably have more luck at the area board as well. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. We'll take the advice of our Wiltshire councillors. Is everybody happy with that? So we're going with 2,500, John.
But Adrienne wanted to come in then.
Yes, Adrienne. Yep.
Sorry,
You're muted.
I was voting. Sorry.
Oh.
I thought I was voting.
All right, so I'm going to take it that John's proposed 2,500 with the advice to look at the area board. This is coming from an area board member. And then we're seconding, Pat can second it. Yes, you're seconding it. And again, from another area board member. And everyone's happy with that?
Yep.
Okay, brilliant. Lovely. Thank you very much, John. That's very enlightening.
Sorry, I'm sure like everybody else, I've got 3 screens open, documents on one, Zoom on another. I've got documents on my phone, documents on an iPad, and Zoom on the computer. It gets a bit confusing sometimes.
Right, that actually makes you've got 38,000 for ring fenced but grant funding. You're at 38,800 now, just so you know where you're going.
Right, thank you very much for that. And I think, we've done Young Melksham, so that's fine. So we're done with the red circle ones, yeah?
Yeah. So
right.
100. If my sums are right, have you been doing the same, Miriam?
Yep, it's 800.
Yeah.
Works.
Yeah.
That's right.
800 over.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's all right.
200 that was obviously, if you've given everyone everything they'd asked for, it's only £100 so that can I just have a recommendation then? £800 is recommended by the Finance and Admin Committee to council to come from the General Reserve to support the ring-fenced grant funding by £800.
Yep. Okay. So Adrian will propose that.
Can I suggest that gets proposed and seconded by people who aren't beneficiaries of any of those grants?
That's probably a good idea, John.
All right. Well, I'll propose that then.
Thank you.
And Mike.
And
Pat.
Terry, Pat's seconded that.
Okay.
And everybody's okay with that?
And we can vote on it, but it's not proposing it yet.
Right. Lovely. Okay. Now we'll go on to the normal grant application. So we'll start from the very top.
Sorry, actually, can we not start from the very top, Vanessa? Because I think there's a couple here which we can't award, aren't there? Aren't there a couple to the church and to Messi?
Yeah.
Now, I know we've had discussions about this before. Linda, can you give us some advice? Because if we can't award them, sadly, then we need to remove them now. I mean, Messi Church, I know is a difficult one, and I wasn't sure about the Baptist Church one either. So can you just rule on those?
Yeah, the actual maintenance of the Baptist Church is not allowable under our financial regs and local government, because it's not actually not benefiting the community, i.e. the community are not the ones that are using that facility all the time, and it is a church.
Okay.
What's that Messi Church? I think Messi Church is brilliant. I've been many times. But can we support them or not?
We can, because they hire the town, when they're going, they hire the town hall and use that, and it's open and free access to anybody.
It's the Messi Church. They're at Bower Hill School. Not Bower Hill School.
Sorry,
Sandwich School.
This is the Summer Holiday Club.
Oh, Summer Holiday Club. That's fine. I want to be able to support
that.
so I'm delighted.
Yeah.
So it's just the church.
Can I just say for the Baptist Church one, I agree with Linda's analysis on it, but what we will need to be ready to be able to defend on is because they're asking for the maintenance contract for their burial ground, their old burial ground, and they're going to be saying, why do we pay for the closed churchyard, but we won't pay for theirs?
Unfortunately, it's a quirk in local government where...
I know, Linda, but we need to be ready to be able to...
Yeah. We have no option.
Miriam's got a hand up.
Alan McFall called me to ask whether he should apply or not, and he pretty much expected he wouldn't be able to get the grant, and I said, well, put it in anyway just to see. So they're not very hopeful anyway.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm disappointed, but we have to stick to the rules. That's all.
Yeah.
Right, shall we go through then from the top?
Yeah.
Right, let's start off with the Melksham brownies.
Got 2 lots of brownies.
Have we?
So one's rainbow.
Rainbow, one's brownies.
Right. So the first one, they're asking for £400.
300.
Huh?
300.
Where?
No, I think Terry's suggesting we give them a little bit less so that we get the money down. I think that's what she's saying.
Oh, is that what you're saying? Give them 300. Okay. Well, thoughts, questions, queries? I'm not rushing them, Terry. We're not just going to plow through them. John.
I think one of the things that we do need to look at is for the groups and organisations that are asking for funding in order to cover off COVID costs. There is considerable funding available from Wiltshire Community Foundation for covering off COVID costs. Groups and organisations who are not getting income because they haven't got COVID, you know. So if a voluntary organisation, I helped Forest Community Centre, for instance, to get 5,000 from Wiltshire Community Foundation to cover off their not having any bar takings when they were closed down, but they were still having to pay the cost of running the community centre. So some of these groups, I think, if we want to reduce what we're offering them, we can do that alongside. Here's the link to Wiltshire Community Foundation, where there is, you know, Wiltshire Community Foundation. They're turning grants around in 48 hours to give you funding to pay for things that as a result of COVID.
What's their pot of money like, John?
Significant.
Okay, so what are we thinking?
I like that. That we give them whatever we decide, but can confirm it with a letter
and
suggesting that they
some other places.
Yeah.
Right. So what are we thinking for the brownies then? They've asked for 400.
300.
All right, 300. Everybody okay with 300?
I think we have to take everybody down a tiny little bit.
Yeah. 300. All right, we're going with 300 for that one. All right, brilliant.
Are we doing in the order of the spreadsheet? If so, what happened with the Gardeners Society?
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the one that Miriam.
No, sure, that's in blue.
The Gardeners Society at the top. The garden.
Was blue excluded?
I don't know, but I think that's probably what happened.
I'm looking at the one that David gave me.
So they're two different. So the paper document with all the forms, that's alphabetical, and then the coloured spreadsheet, the page that you got was a different order by score. So,
oh, sorry. Well, I'm going off the one that David gave me. Is that confusing?
Which document are we on, so we can all look at the same document? Because otherwise, it's going to get
confusing. The one that David sent, normal grant applications 2020.
Oh, he sent that today.
Yeah.
Because I'm on mod.gov.
Oh.
I'm on the one that I'm on mod.gov that Miriam did. That's what you're on, John, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just has the summary on rather than the full grant.
Yeah.
That's okay. I can go over to the full grant.
Can we just decide what we're doing, which one, and let us find them? Because it's not that difficult to find them.
Right. Well, the next one I've got is the squadron.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's alphabetical.
Right. I am going to have to find it a second. Give me a second.
That's all right.
You sent that today, didn't you? I can only get that on my phone.
Sorry.
It actually says on it when people are looking for it.
Oh, hang on. Wait now.
Last year's room hire. This is going to come up quite a lot of times.
What, room hire?
Room hire, because in previous years we have allowed them room hire, and it became so difficult for the officers to sort out things. But groups feel that they were allocated X number of room hires, and because of restrictions, they have not been able to use them. So they are saying this, and this is going to come up. It comes up in about 3 or 4 applications. So we need to be aware.
Yeah, so Terry, my understanding of room hire was we had to put a financial figure on it. We couldn't just say, yes, you can have one night of room hire. We had to put a financial figure on it so we could account for it.
Yeah.
But just because we allocate, we say yes for the funding for a room hire, they still have to book it. They still have to organise it. It's not something that's guaranteed.
Yeah, but I mean, if I take the seniors, for example, I last year's grant application, we worked out with Tim how many room hires that equated to.
Yeah.
And we agreed it. And that was to go right through from whatever until December this year for one a month. But obviously, there's been nothing since April. So we're not claiming that we've owed that amount of money. But some of the groups are saying, you know, we didn't get the room hire. So it's difficult.
Right. And they're quite explicit on this. We didn't get the room hire last year, so can we have the cash anyway for last year? And can we have it as cash this year instead of room hire? So if we can't hire the room, we can use it for something else. I don't support that, Chair. I think that if we're giving them money, I was 100% ready to vote in favour of giving them the cost of them being able to run their annual dinner in the Assembly Hall. But saying we'll give you a cheque to use, so if you don't run your annual dinner, you can spend that money on something else. No.
No, it needs to be
absolutely agree, John. Yeah,
be very specific.
Yeah. My understanding is that the grant funding needs to be used for what you applied for.
Exactly.
So no, I understand. So so in regards to this one, which is the squadron, so what exactly are they asking for?
396.
396, which is the cost of hiring the hall for one night, I assume.
Yes. With can I add, with all the room hire which are in blue, they've asked for 4 meetings one night, whatever, and I've checked the price with Tim, so that's the equivalent of the cost of the room hire in cash.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. So, but they're not actually asking for 396. This is like that one earlier on. They're actually asking for 896.
Yeah. Well, they can't have it, can they?
I think the answer is no. I think 396 for the room hire, and if they don't do their dinner again, they don't get the grant. I move.
Yes, and I agree, especially with the, I don't know if anyone's looking at the actual comments there. It also says, alternatively, if the council was feeling generous, as it's their 60th anniversary in 2021, would we consider providing grants of a room hire and a small cash grant to go to the squadron's activities? Well, that needs to be all incorporated into a grant with specific lists of activities that they wanted, so on and so forth. So John proposed, Adrian seconded. Linda. Yes.
I think going forward, to make this easier, because venue hire, the town council owns the town hall and the assembly hall, and people hire it. I wonder if you should have a budget line that is venue hire, and you
we used to have that, Linda.
You can work out an average of what we normally give for. It's not really free use. That's not the right word, because it isn't free, because it has to be set up and there's heating and lighting. But if the budget amount in the line for venue hire, and in our grant section, it separates it from the actual money that we're actually handing over. Because if someone's hiring a venue, we can just do an internal journal. We don't need to send them a cheque for the
before.
That's what we were doing.
That's what we were doing, and that's what I suggested about 3 years ago as well. And it all went pear-shaped, and I don't quite know why it went pear-shaped, because then somebody said, or a councillor said, oh no, you can't do that because it's still money and all the rest of it. But I think it's very different.
I think the internal auditor told us we couldn't do it, actually, and Jean got excited about what the internal auditor said.
Now, well, that's how I used to operate it in a former life, and it's a clear way of accounting, because you just do a journal from the revenue hire budget to the assembly hall or to the town hall. It's clear, it's open, it's transparent. You're not in fact, handing someone a cheque to give you that money back, I think is.
I'm Linda. I'm totally with you on this. I think it's a much better way of doing it.
Clearer.
Yeah.
I'll amend my motion, Chair, and I'll say that we award the room hire for one night, but we don't give them the money. We just ask the clerk to wire it
and book it in
when appropriate.
Yeah, and book it in.
Yeah.
And also just a little advice for next year, if they're going to apply for a grant and they want some additional funding for activities, to put that in the grant and
Right.
also be very specific with the activities and put an actual pound figure next to it as well. So, you know, it's very adorable that they've put in there if the council's feeling generous, but we just need to be very specific. Lovely. Okay, so the next one I've got here is the Melksham Rainbow Unit. Thoughts, comments, queries?
300 again.
Terry, are you even reading these, or are you just saying 300 for everything?
No.
Terry went through them all this
Everything.
afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, a letter about the Wiltshire Community Foundation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, the poor brownies, I will tell you, with the brownies, they were all ready to open this week for children to come back. They had everything in place, letters and emails out to all the parents, all the kids were looking forward to coming back, and it's bloody lockdown again. So, I think a link to that community foundation thing is a really good idea.
Yeah.
Can I just ask though, with the first lot of brownies, we took them from 400 to 300.
Yes.
With this lot of brownies, we're saying 500 to 300.
350?
Harry, would you accept 350? So at least that there's, because otherwise it's one group's had a £100 cut, one group's had a £200 cut.
350. I'll support that. Come on, Terry.
Yeah, fine.
All right, 350. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, AFC.
I'd like to move we fund this. All we are doing is matching what Melksham without give to this. I think to cut it. But the work that Mike and his team do with those kids is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's tiny. It's 250. Everyone happy with that?
Tiny,
All right, good.
Yeah.
That one's easy. Right, we've already done age friendly. Alzheimer's support. Okay. Thoughts, queries? They're asked for £500.
Reduce it.
How many people do we help in Melksham?
Program.
There's 11.
There's 11 in Melksham, are there?
Yeah.
So reduce it by 50. So that's 400. No, that's only makes 9. Sorry, I was thinking £50 per person, but no, it doesn't work.
So the project itself is 1125. They've got other funding of 625.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really important one, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
It gives carers space as well, because
that's what I'm looking at.
Let's do 450. So we're not taking them down by much, but a little £50 on each of them might make a difference.
450. Yeah.
450.
Yeah.
Everyone happy with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Reluctantly, but yeah.
It is very reluctant, John.
Right, Avon Bowls. This is interesting.
But it says they haven't asked for any money on their application form, so quick and easy.
Yeah, that's why I meant it was interesting.
Next.
Yeah, Miriam, they've asked for nothing.
I think in the whole project is 1,000, so I would just assume that they're asking for 1,000 because they haven't said there's any other sources.
Right, let's have a look then.
I have to say, this is one that's always a concern for me. You know, yes, I realise, although they don't have a building, they have the green, which they need to pay quite large green fees to maintain the actual ground. But I know from various things Pauline has said that they do virtually no fundraising of their own. And they are all adults and things. So it always, I mean, years ago when we were with the SCOB, they were asking for thousands of pounds, and yet they were not prepared to do any work to raise the money. And it just sort of annoys me, but then that's me.
I think one of the things one of the things that we also need to be doing as a council is to educate and empower people in regards to all the sources of funding out there. I mean, John's an expert at this. An hour of listening to John, and you'll be able to know exactly where to source all the different funds from. And I'm just also concerned that people are looking just to the town council and only to the town council. John, thoughts?
Right. Well, I'm looking at their accounts where they made a surplus of £6,000 last year. So they made a profit. So, and I'm looking at what they say they're wanting the money for. Under additional comments, they're basically saying they've got running costs because they've not been open under COVID, and they're saying they want to buy some chairs. Well, I would like to recommend, and I will be putting in a grant application for some protective clothing for when I'm in the vicinity of Pauline. But I would like to actually recommend that we don't fund this grant, and we point them to Melksham Community Foundation for support with COVID funding, and to the area board to fund for the capital project of the chairs.
I agree.
Well, there's also the Alms House charities. We've always got some cash for them.
I honestly don't think that I cannot justify a group that has made a £6,000 profit in its annual accounts giving them £1,000 grant when I can't justify it.
Yeah, agree. Can anyone second that one?
Linda wants to say something.
Yes, Linda.
I think you should make it part of the grant application criteria that you will not fund 100%, because that doesn't give any incentive to try and get money from other sources.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I think there's from what I'm seeing of these grants, a lot of the organisations are pretty switched on in regards to their expectations. But some just, there's the expectation that the town council will fund everything without looking at the bigger picture, which is, again, like what everyone's been saying, which is there's a lot of funding out there. Terry?
We're speaking about lots of funding out there. David has and Miriam have knowledge. John has knowledge. Can we please get a list of grant funding and what it's specific for, and send it to the people who we haven't?
Yeah, I think we can.
The amount of
but
money, Miriam.
I'm also going to play devil's advocate here and say, if I were an organisation looking for funding, I'd be on the laptop and I'd be Googling everything I could. There has to be some onus and accountability.
There are a myriad of opportunities for people to be able to subscribe to, not at cost, but just email subscribe to funding opportunity notifications. What I would also say is, although there are a lot of funding opportunities out there, a lot of it is competitive, and I think you will find that one organisation who is going for funding from a body will be reluctant to be pointing everyone else to their golden egg, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But we have the newsletter that Miriam is sending out every week.
Yes.
If you go to Melksham Community Foundation, they run an email they send you with funding opportunities in it. I get regularly, I don't pay for any of them, but because I've gone out, as you said, Chair, I've gone out and done the research. I get the emails coming to me telling me when there are funding chances. I don't think there's any reason why we couldn't be trying to perhaps do some of that research and putting it into Miriam's community newsletter. But I don't think we should actually be doing their grant applications for them.
No, didn't mean that.
Sorry, Miriam, you wanted to say something.
Just that I do try to put at the end of each of the newsletters, here are some updated local sources of funding, but I can
be a
bit more explicit.
Absolutely. Right, so on this one here, we're going to decline. We're going to decline it, but obviously give them some support and point them in the right direction. Yes.
But Chair, my motion to refuse is because they made a £6,000 profit in their accounts.
Yes.
So there's not a demonstrable need for that £1,000 funding.
Yes.
But the council does recognise that they were identifying a capital project that we recommend they go to the area board for.
Yes.
And that they do have some exposure because of coronavirus, and that Wiltshire Community Foundation have a special fund to support organisations as a result of that.
Sounds good. All right, everyone happy with that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
And sorry, Chair, Miriam, if you hound me, because I will forget before the end of this meeting, let alone tomorrow, I'm happy to send you the
Alzheimer's support
people who I subscribe to get the grant notifications, so you can get those to think about putting relevant ones in your. But you have to hound me because I'll forget about it.
Wessex Water have just produced a huge amount of money for COVID support, so that's worth looking at as well.
I just realised Richard's gone somewhere, unless I can't see him anywhere. Is he gone?
Yeah, he's left. I didn't see the time he went.
9:15.
Okay.
Bedtime.
Right. Baptist Church, what did we say about the church one?
Can't do it.
They can't do it, unfortunately.
Again, a nice letter to them explaining why. Obviously, Miriam's spoken to Alan already, so it won't be a shock. But
right, Bloom. Okay.
I think we should fund this, Chair. They do amazing work for our Melksham and Bloom. I know we're trying to cut costs, but this is one of those ones where I'm just going to chuck in there in the mix. I think that they do great work. It's the sort of organisation we should be supporting. So I move refund in full.
Right. Okay. I was just going to say, I'm not sure if I should declare anything on this. I am a volunteer. But one of the things that we are trying to do, again, like any other savvy organisation, is find different sources of funding. And also, just to give you a little bit of insight, it's not just Melksham Town Council that we've asked for funding for projects. We have asked Melksham Without Parish Council, and they did decline, saying that it wasn't obviously benefiting their residents. So one of the things that we have done, and everybody knows, is the calendars and Christmas cards that we've started to produce to try and raise additional funds as well. So John suggested 3,000. I'm going to stay out of this one, and I think so should Terry, because she's a volunteer too. So any other thoughts, questions? Who have we got? It's only really Mike and Pat.
It's okay. Yeah, I'll propose it.
Mike, thoughts? Yeah. That's a thumbs up from Mike. Okay, is everybody happy with that one? And that also includes Terry's flags. Terry's wonderful flags that she makes, which look lovely. Right, the next one, Bower Hill Residents Action Group. This is Bragg. Everybody knows Bragg, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they're asking for much. They're asking for £100. Thoughts?
Yeah,
I'd give them 100.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's be magnanimous.
Yes.
Even though our residents won't be separate.
Yeah, absolutely.
John wants his dinner. Right, that's £100 for Bragg. Yes, lovely. Okay. Now the next one. British Cactus and Succulent Society Wiltshire branch.
This is just the hiring of the assembly.
The hiring. So
I'm a member.
Really, Pat?
Yeah.
Well, if it's just room hire, so you can't give them a bit of it. So can we just go with the room hire?
Room hire. So Linda.
Yeah, well, what we can do is we can make a note. If I create a new cost centre for room hire, and keep a tally of everyone from tonight that we've said could have room hire when they need it.
Yeah. All right, room hire. Everybody happy with that? It doesn't specify. Is it just for one day?
Yes, one Saturday in September.
Yeah. You should go. It's lovely.
Oh, thrilling. Okay, everyone happy with that? Sorry, Pat.
Don't get spiky over it, Vanessa.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, John. Right, lovely. Community meals. Sorry to remind you of your dinner, John. So community meals, this is in, I can't really see it that well. Right, thoughts, questions, how much are they asking for? £500.
If you look at the grant, Chair, this is because they're having to come out of Spencer's Social Club, because Spencer's Social Club is closing for that.
What happened there?
They haven't got a new venue, so they need to remove equipment and store it.
Right.
Linda, have we got a tiny bit of storage up at Bower Hill that they could use? Now that we've lost our tenant.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure we do. It depends how long they want to store it for, because the assembly hall's not doing a lot.
Well, I was going to say,
and I was thinking of the Art House Cafe as well. If there's any way we can do it without giving them £500, I happily support it without giving the money.
Right.
Well, can I suggest, Chair,
Can we do that? Yeah.
we say that we would be supportive of the grant, but we ask Linda to work with them to try and find alternative storage, because we don't know how much of that money is the removal cost, how much of it is the storage element. If we're saying we want them to be able to remove the equipment and store it, we are only talking £500 here. Let's award the £500, but say that's subject to, if we can provide the storage for free, reducing the grant by the storage element.
Yeah. Whichever. Yeah.
Yeah. Just have a conversation with them.
Mike's trying to come in.
Mike.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Given that I see from the minutes of the previous meeting that we're not receiving any rental revenue for the roundhouse, can we not offer them that for storage?
We are receiving rental revenue. We've got
right, okay.
We've got a tenant in it.
Right, okay. It's just in the
If
minutes
you
of the
want
last
to
meeting.
sublet it, if we allow it.
Wow.
No, it's just in the minutes of the last meeting, you're quoted as saying we weren't receiving any rental income.
Well, we should be. Something went wrong with the direct debit in the bank.
Right, okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Better make that clear in those minutes if it says that.
Right. So the proposal is we're just going to see if we can help them out with some alternative solutions that aren't going to cost us anything that they're happy with. Otherwise, we'll potentially look at funding £500. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Lovely. Next one, cricket club.
200.
Sorry, John.
I'm joining your club now, Terry.
200.
Well, that seems fair enough. I'd go 200.
Oh, okay.
Did you say 200, John?
150.
What are they asking for?
Down now.
So they've got the grant from the area board for funding.
Have they? Are we looking at cricket club? Did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cricket club.
Yeah. It's 100. I don't know why it's 100% then.
They've asked for £243.94 according to the form.
Which is 100% of what they want.
Percent of the grant of what they've applied for.
Yeah, and it says other funding grant from the area board for the net.
And this was for helmets and body
It's
armor.
helmets for the batting cage.
Yeah.
Probably important.
Body armor.
But sorry, John, did you say 200?
I did.
All right, 200.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm happy with
200. Okay. All right, Gardeners Society.
Again, this is just room hire.
Room hire. That's an easy one.
Why is it £591.60 for 1 day's room hire?
That's what Tim told me it would be.
What?
Wow.
The assembly hall is not cheap, Terry.
I know. I've said that. I did text that to Terry this afternoon.
Yeah.
When she said, "How's it that price?" and I said, "It's not cheap." And this is one of the problems with not giving reduced costs to community groups, isn't it? Which is another issue, Linda, which needs to be looked at next year.
Right. Okay.
And I think one of the comments that they made that we always piggyback on them to present the Melksham in Bloom certificates and cups and things. So I think we need to sort of consider that.
Can we just
in
award
some way.
this?
Yeah, we just award it,
do
John.
this one?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Lovely. That one's easy. On to the next one. Is it help counselling? Is that the one we're on?
Yeah.
Yep. Very detailed.
Full amount.
Full amount, 250.
Yeah.
There, 250. Okay, lovely. Very good. Historical Association.
It's room hire.
Yeah, that's room hire. Happy with that, Linda?
Award
That's an
it.
easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Messy Church. We already did. What did we say about Messy Church?
No, we could.
No,
we
you
can.
railway group. You missed the railway group.
Yeah.
Rail users group.
Not on my thing.
MOUG.
Yeah, no, it is on your thing because I'm
Right.
looking at the thing you're looking at now.
Oh, I can't. Mine wouldn't load. I'm scrolling up and down.
They want £300 for a £1,300 project. They've had £400 from the parish.
Well, they're at the top. They're at the top of the page.
Well, I don't know. Mine's in the middle.
Yeah,
Under
mine's
the rounded.
well, can we say how much has it got from the parish, John?
They've got 400 from the parish, so they actually want less from us than the parish.
Oh, I
Yeah.
like that.
Wow.
That's
Well, give them 300.
Oh, okay. I was going to say 250, but go on, 300 then.
all right. 300.
Yeah.
Right. What am I on now?
Messy
Depends
Church,
what.
which we've got rid of.
No,
Messy Church? No, we haven't got rid of Messy Church.
No, I'm on Messy Church now.
Well, we've
Right,
already
so
said we weren't doing it.
No, we're not. No, we haven't. Linda
Oh,
said
sorry,
we
it
can do
was
Messy
just the
Church.
Messy
Because
Church.
it's open.
right.
And it's for it's for
Yeah,
activities
sorry,
for the
sorry.
community.
Well, they've got COVID. Oh no, COVID security. That's different, isn't it, from what John was saying? Can we offer them 400? I think 500 is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
hang on. Where are we at now? The rail user group now?
No, Neighbourhood Watch.
Hang on. There's too many papers. Right.
I mean,
Neighbourhood
somebody's
watch.
comment was we didn't even know we had one.
Yeah, I didn't know we had one.
That's £1,000, and that's the full cost of the project.
No.
Advertising in Melksham News. Room
you get
hire.
That, Ian, you see, you're expensive.
Room
Can I just
hire.
can I just clarify which one we're on because I couldn't find it on the
It's
list.
Neighbourhood Watch.
Right at the bottom.
Neighbourhood Watch, thank you.
Yeah. No, Neighbourhood Watch, is that for the whole of the Melksham town? Because they normally set up in neighbourhoods. Sorry.
Yeah, they're normally in neighbourhoods. I didn't know they existed. I'm a little bit concerned about this, only because they were derelict. I mean, they were they were fantastic 20 years ago. Then they went into a period of not doing anything. Maybe they're trying to come out, but I'm not sure that just putting an application in to get some money is a particularly good idea. I would like to have some meetings with them to find out what they want to do.
I think we should.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, John's got his hand up.
Proposal.
Yeah, John. Yes.
What I'd like to propose is that we agree a grant of £400,
Yeah.
subject to a discussion with them about what their business plan for use of that funding is,
Yes.
and that we will promote neighbourhood watch projects within the town boundaries in our advertisements, our newsletters in the Melksham News.
Yes, as
They
a
want
part of our.
£84 of this is for 2 adverts.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we could put something in, we do a 4-page thing about the town
Yeah.
4
Good
times
idea,
a year.
John.
We could
Really good
advertise
idea.
Neighbourhood Watch in that. That would be great articles for us to be putting in there and promo to be putting in there and us supporting.
Yep.
And then we can just say there's some, well, £350 really
Yep.
left over for funding the other bits and bobs that they need, subject to a clarification of what it is. So our grant award tonight would be £350.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
150.
Yeah. Everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy with that. All right. Lovely. Next one is a netball club, and I don't think they wanted much. God,
Give
what
the
did they
full
want?
200.
200.
Couple hundred
You can't,
quid for netball.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
reduce £200.
All right. Everyone happy with netball?
Yeah.
Fab club.
Physically
Oh, there's an amazing club.
Able-bodied.
It's
How much
amazing.
do they want?
I don't think they want much.
500. 500.
Hang on, where are we?
Thought we'd done the Fab Club.
No.
No, sorry. Beg your pardon.
So, Christine, it's a bit of a learning curve for you, isn't it, with all these?
It sure is, because I seem to be looking at it in a different order to the ones you're looking at. So I'm jumping up and down and numbering them.
Right. So how much for Fab Club?
450.
Second.
450.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if,
lovely.
if at the end we found we've got a squeaky little bit of money, we've got Alzheimer's and FAB that we can come back to and raise to 500.
Okay, brilliant. Everyone happy with 450?
Yeah.
Yep, lovely. Okay. Next one is the Rachel Fowler Centre.
Capital project, go to the area board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that, John.
It's 350 quid. That'll go through the area board without us even blinking. Don't you think, Pat?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did they say?
For toilet soap dispensers.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's to
We
upgrade
actually
gentlemen's
need-
toilets and provide new soap dispensers in gentlemen's and ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an area board in December. If they bring it to that,
I was going to say in the letter, John, can we have some dates so that they know when they've got to get it into Peter? That would be really useful, because then they've only got to copy and paste what they've done and shove it into area board. But the dates would be helpful.
and if Pat and I are both advocating it, I don't see a problem. Do you, Pat?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to take that as proposed by John and seconded by Pat. Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Lovely. And on
again, when we write to them, sorry, Chair, can we just stress that it's not that we don't believe in their project, it's that we believe there's a better source of funding for them. And if we'd funded that when we knew they could get the money somewhere else, something else in the town would not have been funded.
Yep, exactly.
Don't call it a capital project though, because they won't. People
They
don't
won't
understand the
understand,
difference
no.
between capital and
No,
revenue. I
but-
know we all do, but
No, but when they go to the area
Jess,
board,
Chair.
the first question they're asked is this capital or revenue? So we need to tell them that they go to the area board and say it's a capital project, because otherwise it will never it'll get rejected at application stage.
yeah, no, thanks for that, John. But I think you understand what I'm trying to say.
I do, but
The average person out there doesn't understand the difference.
Right. Okay, lovely. Going on to the next one is Read Easy.
400.
Yeah. Now I'm also
400.
sorry?
400.
400.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the cost of the project is 1,500 and their other funding is none as yet. So they'd also be good to help point in the right directions if we could.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was mayor, I went to their AGM. I was incredibly impressed by this organisation. I have to
They
be
are
honest.
amazing.
Very good.
Yeah.
So yeah, 400 and support.
Yeah.
Lovely. Everyone happy with 400?
Well, actually, I think these people, sorry, we have actually managed to make some significant savings on a couple of other ones.
Yeah. Want to go 500?
With what they do, I want to fight to give them all of it.
500?
That's fine. 500. I'm happy.
Yeah.
All right, 500. Lovely. Rugby club. Oh, I can barely read their writing. Thoughts on the rugby club?
They want 104%.
Yes, the cost of the project is £479 and they want £500.
But they're just rounding it up, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
450.
Yeah, 450.
Yeah.
450?
Yeah.
Everyone happy with that?
Easy to work out what you're saving, will you?
Sorry. Right, we're happy with 450 then. Everyone happy? Yep. All right, seniors. Next one is seniors. So how much are they asking for?
4,000.
Is there some hiring? I think there's some hiring in there as well for
There
the
is
assembly
hire
hall.
the hall in there. Oh, is that the 1,800 in blue, Miriam?
Hang on.
Well, 1,200 of it is the assembly hall. Looking at their grant, because some of it's the Forest Community Centre for hall hire.
Yeah.
So the hall hire from us is 1,200.
Yep. So if we take that off, hang on. So they're asking for 4,000. If we take off the 1,200,
that makes it 2,800, doesn't it?
But the 1,200 is still, because it'll be fired over.
Yep.
So we still have to.
Yeah. I'm talking about money. Because Linda's put in. So it's 2,800 plus 1,200.
right.
I can't see any capital money in there, so.
No, it's all.
No, it's no, I don't think there's any capital. I read it this morning.
The only thing I'd ask on it again is, I mean, to be honest with you, it's such good work that's done. I'm not going to nitpick over it, but just in terms of potential saving, is whether we can again use our 4-page spread in the Melksham News to support some of their advertising, rather than them putting the little box in every. But
the problem is, I think, John, that they like what they have to do is, one of the issues they've got is most of their members are not online, therefore they can't let them know when their films are on, except with an advert in the Melksham News. That's what their members look for.
Right.
I mean, as I said, one of the things I think we ought to be doing with the seniors is trying to help the older people get online. I think that should be a project which is formed part of the seniors, but I'm happy to go with that amount of money.
Right. So how much are we giving them?
Well,
let's
split
split
it.
4,000.
Yeah, but 1,200 that, Linda, is room hire.
Yeah.
Have they gone to Melksham Charities for any money?
Sure.
Not that I know of.
Because they've said they've got 2,600 coming in from elsewhere, but they haven't actually said from elsewhere, which it does ask for.
Other funding, yes. Not sure what
It
that
just says application yet to be made.
I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
These are only now becoming advertised. I'm not sure how the.
Are you
sponsorship-
recommending that they go to Melksham Charities, the funding?
Well, Pat's always telling us that Melksham Charities are desperate to get their money. Right?
Yeah, we've got
Okay, well, I shall pass that message on to Terry when I speak to her in a minute.
Yeah.
No, I'll talk to Terry, because I have offered to volunteer at the film nights or film afternoons, because I felt it was something I could do, but not that there's going to be one this month, but yeah, I can suggest to her that we do that.
Yeah. Okay. Lovely. So how much are we doing for? So what are we doing for the seniors?
4,000, but it's split, isn't it, Linda?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Is everyone happy with that?
So they get a cheque for 2,800 and
And then the room
£1,200.
hire.
Yeah.
All right. Lovely. Everyone happy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next one, splits.
God, they do amazing work as well.
Can we give them the full amount?
1,000.
These guys do phenomenal work.
They do, actually. They're amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go with it if we
Yeah,
can.
1,000. Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Scrolling.
What's happened to Splash?
Yeah, we're up to that one, Terry. Calm down. All right. All right. Lovely. So, how much are we asking for here? So we're talking about child protection. We're talking about the project is about 2,500, and they're asking for 1,338.
Yeah, this is to fund young people on the Splash courses that they run in the summer. And they're always very needed.
Yeah.
Well, because it's a silly number, can we either go with 1,300 or 1,400? I don't mind which one we do.
1,003.
I'm just wondering why they've not come to the local youth network for any funding for this.
Perhaps they don't know it exists, John.
Oh, they know it's community first.
Splash will know.
Right, okay.
Because what this isn't telling us is actually how many young people from Melksham. It's a £2,500 project for 15 young people, but it doesn't say how many of those 15 young people are Melksham young people.
I'd be surprised if there was 15 from Melksham, because the way Splash do things, they'll pick an area.
Yeah, and we're being asked to fund over 50% of a project for a wide community, a wide area, for an unknown number of young people from Melksham.
Can I make a suggestion then?
That's normally one of the questions on the application form.
Yes.
I can't get that up at the moment because it's only.
I'm looking at it and I can't see. on the
It said, can I just read it out? Our application is to fund 15 places on splash activities based on one activity place per young person from Melksham currently engaged in our service.
One?
Doesn't really make one
No.
activity.
Right. I mean,
So
make
there's 15 young people and they each get one activity.
yeah, but we're only talking about potentially one person. Can I make a suggestion then? Can we say we will contribute £100 per child from Melksham up to a maximum of £1,300?
Why don't we just say we'll contribute 1,300 because there could be 15. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Because they could be from out of Melksham.
They can be from Melksham without.
They could be from Trowbridge. They could be from anywhere. So if we say we will contribute £100 per child from Melksham, that child has to be from Melksham. Up to
just say give them 500.
Yeah, I think it's easier to give them an amount of money. I think fine. Let's go with 500.
500 then?
Yeah.
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 Minus 800.
But also some feedback if next year they could tell us very specifically how many people from Melksham they're actually going to be helping.
Even if they could tell us how many last year took part.
Yeah.
Because it is hard. It is hard to predict. But you know, you can do an analysis of the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, I do know quite a few Melksham kids who've been involved in it.
Right.
But,
well, that would be good. That's good feedback then. So everyone happy with 500?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Lovely. Okay. Next one, Wessex MS Therapy.
They're working with 13 people from the Melksham area according to their grant.
Yeah.
It's they're getting good money in from other areas. I'd like to recommend the full amount for this.
Yeah. I'll second that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's easy.
Yeah.
400.
Yeah.
Everyone happy? 400. Yep. That's good. Okay. Wiltshire Mind.
Can you just know why are their accounts a year out of date?
Who, Wiltshire Mind?
Yeah.
They said they hadn't signed off this year's yet, so they sent us last year's instead.
That would be. It can be a nightmare getting them from the accountant because
I can agree with that.
Deadline, and the legal deadline is 10 months after the end of the year.
Fair enough.
It is so difficult to get accounts sorted.
Yeah. Now, the other thing on this one, they're saying that they need it for room hire for the use of St. Anthony's Church, but that's a freebie. I know.
Yes, it is, isn't it, Terry?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it says associated costs, so I don't know what associated costs mean.
Hang on. St. Anthony's is the Catholic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, they're probably more than expected to put in a contribution.
No.
I think Terry might know the answer to that.
No, not necessarily.
Oh. I think so, Vanessa.
What does associated costs mean?
It's a little bit vague, to be fair. If they're an application, you should. I think we should make it that it's quite clear what the money is going to be.
And also miscellaneous activity costs.
Yeah, it's too vague.
Considering they've got a CEO who should be able to know better than that.
Yeah.
Have to fill an application form in.
Right, Mike wants to say
the
something.
fact that in their last set of accounts they presented us, they made a £66,000 surplus.
Yeah.
Right, Mike?
Yeah, just to say, historically, I've always been concerned with Wiltshire Mind, despite the fact they do good works. Any money we give them basically goes to funding the salary of their chief executive.
Yeah.
And I'm not entirely sure that's appropriate for us to be providing money for. That's my only concern.
Why? How much is the chief executive on?
Well, who knows?
You can get.
Never understood that. Right, someone said 200.
Oh, 500.
500? I'm looking at John here. John, what do you think?
I've got to be careful because I run a mental health charity as well, and I know how hard funding is. But I wish I made £66,500 surplus. I do think that they're very well funded for what they are. I'd probably back the 500. The 200 sounds appealing, but it's perhaps a little bit harsh.
That's what I
Okay.
thought.
And if we could also just provide them with the feedback to be a bit more specific with their breakdown of the cost for the project.
And again, they're not. I don't think they're actually telling us how many Melksham people are benefiting from this.
Mm.
Well, it says 60.
Between 40 and 80, it says, isn't it? 60.
People
So
help.
then, yeah.
But is that people they've worked with or people in Melksham?
But what it does say that's on the Melksham beneficiaries column.
66,000, hey?
You're in the wrong job, Vanessa.
I think John's doing his accounts wrong.
But it's why I don't have a chief executive.
That's right.
Right, so we're going with 500. Everyone happy with 500?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
All right, lovely. Where are we up to? Wiltshire site.
400.
Agreed.
I haven't even got there yet.
I know.
Oh, I'm still scrolling. They're asking for 500. And they've done a really good amount of work with sourcing funding from elsewhere as well. So 400.
Yeah.
Everyone happy with 400?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, lovely. Wiltshire Young Care Services. So this is another.
Right, I want to get on my soapbox and be angry now, if please, Chair.
All right, you can be angry, John.
This one
What's
is
wrong?
a copy and paste of the splash one that we've just done.
You noticed that as well, did you?
I'm sorry.
Oh wait, Miriam wants to say something.
The lady who put in the splash one then said, can I put in one for young carers as well? And I said, yeah, as long as you make it clear it's two separate projects. But it is pretty much, and the costs are the same because they work on the same funding per person per group.
But again, it's exactly the same funding they're asking for us to fund over or almost 50%, no, over 50% of the cost of the project, and no indication of how many kids from Melksham. I'm sorry.
They say 15.
I think we should.
Well, they say 15, John.
Well, they said 15 for the other one as well.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
just a copy and paste.
Yeah.
So one of the
sorry,
things
I'm
that
really
I'm not
angry about this.
I'm not sure that the grant applicants understand that they also need to, in a follow-up, be able to provide us evidence of how this is being spent. So, John, are you calm enough to make a suggestion?
I have made a suggestion. I said this is the same as the previous grant. We've already awarded it.
Yep.
500.
No, that's what we awarded for it last
We've
time.
already
This
done
is
it.
the same grant.
Oh, right.
In my opinion, I know they're saying it's two projects, but everything about this, down to the penny, is identical. Down to the penny, it's identical.
Yes, it is a cut
If it was a different cohort of kids with a different breakdown in numbers, then the amount that they would be asking of Melksham would be different.
So it says all activities will take place at Oxenwood.
Which they own.
Right.
But that's fair enough. They still have costs. It's like if I
Yeah.
do activities at Canberra, I have costs.
Mm-hmm.
I still like to award them something. I have to be honest. I would like to award them £500.
Can we park this one and check in with Linda at the end to see what our running total is?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
We are at the end.
Oh, we are at the end. There you go. Well, what are we up to, Linda?
Right, I need to add it up, and I've lost track a bit. Have you kept up as well, Miriam?
Oh, well done, Miriam.
The we've gone over by 6,930.
So we've halved it then, because we were looking at with the general grant.
Yeah.
We were looking at 12,950 shortfall. What's
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
So it's now 6,930. Oh wait, I haven't put this if I put this 500 in, then it goes to 7,430.
Well, leave the 500 out then. I mean, those are the sorts of figures you need to know, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's fine. 6,000, what is it?
6,930. It's basically
All right,
7.
6,930, so 7,000. So the recommendation is that we take £7,000 from the general reserve then.
Miriam,
Can I just clarify? Is the room hire, are we leaving the room hire totals in there or are they coming out?
No, they remain in there because they're part of what we're giving. Because
okay.
Because what I'll do is I'm going to set up
the right checks.
Yeah, I'm going to set up a budget code with the total amount that you've agreed tonight to award room hire. And then when they do need to use it, we'll just fire it across.
Yeah.
And each organisation will have that amount of credit, if you like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really clear then.
We hope.
Right. So what are we thinking with, obviously we're over on what we should be spending.
On both.
Well, on
well.
both, do we try and trim it back, considering we've already chopped back a fair bit? Or do we take this to full council and recommend we dip into our general reserves? What does everyone think?
Yeah, the second one.
I put that forward already. So I recommend that we take 7,000 from the general reserve.
Yeah, John.
I have no objection to that, but I think what we need to recognise is that that will mean that even with the additional we've talked about, the grant funding that we talked about last week, putting into next year's budget, would not cover the cost of the grants we are now giving out this year.
No.
What we ought to be thinking about is it would be irresponsible of us to set a budget for next year for grants that are less than the value of this year's grant awards, unless we intend on telling people we are cutting next year's grants.
I totally agree.
There would be a reasonable expectation of people that there would be an increase. And if we're going to go out to the general public and we're going to say we are increasing our grants budget for next year, we won't be. We will be decreasing it because we've topped it up this year in year.
I totally agree that we should add extra money, a little bit extra money into the budget for grants.
Yeah, I was going to await the outcome of this grant application round and then reflect that in the draft for next year.
But last week we agreed to up last year's by £5,000.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is tonight we're adding across the two sets of grants. How much onto it?
7,730.
Right. So we're putting on £7,500 this year. So what I'm saying is that with that extra 500 on, next year we will have an effective cut in grant spend of £2,700.
Well, I think we ought to add 10,000 on then and see where that takes us.
Yeah. You make your general grant pot in next year's 2021-22 25,000.
Yeah, I mean, we know that for every pound that you put out into the community, you get a huge amount back. But I was really shocked when we went to a meeting, and it was actually a meeting about the two, joining the parish and the town councils together. When somebody from the parish, actually know her quite well, got up and said that town council don't give any grants out, which I was absolutely horrified to think that could possibly be said. So I think we just need to hammer home once again that we are putting this huge amount of money into the Melksham community. And while I'm on that, because I know that because we're a bit late this year, and I understand the frustrations of us being a bit late, and I know the TIC and certainly Young Melksham are fairly desperate for their money. When would the organisations be able to have these checks? Because there obviously won't be a handover of it in the normal way.
Well, we'll get this all tallied, and this beautiful sheet will be updated to show what's all been agreed, recommended for full council next week, and then the next day we can get the checks.
That's fine. I mean, again, we can do a nice big story. Sorry, John. We can do a nice big story with the mayor taking them to the post and things like that. It's because obviously the mayor can't actually hand them out this year, but the mayor can put them in the post.
No, she can't just put them in the post. She needs to take them to the post office because checks should always be sent by signed for at least.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, whatever. I'm just thinking of making certain that the public know what we're doing. Sorry, John.
Well, I was just going to make a request. I suspect on behalf of many organisations who don't have anywhere they can pay cheques into in Melksham.
Good point.
And Vanessa's about to shout at me and tell me to go to the post
You can go to the post office.
But it would actually be more beneficial for most organisations if we just paid it directly into their bank.
It would do. Yeah, I agree, John.
And there's a
but-
paper trail.
We should go over to that. We really should go over to backs payments. It's so.
Oh, tell me about it. I hate signing checks, Linda.
Yeah.
We ask
can I
when the letters go confirming the amount, can we ask for backs details?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And just triple check them, please, before we start transferring money. John, you wanted to say something?
Well, Miriam just had a hand up then, just in case.
Oh, sorry, Miriam.
Can I notify them by email instead of by post?
Oh, God,
Yes.
yes.
That's what Terry means. Post is, well, that's what she means.
You don't want to waste money on stamps. That just. What was I going to say? Serious. Oh yes. Can I suggest that we say this every single year at grants, and we never ever do it. But can we get some much stronger grant guidance together for next year? Because I do think that a lot of these applications on here, most organisations would have thrown out.
Yeah, they would.
Because they're not giving the information that's needed to be able to. And I think we need to get much stricter on what information we ask for, the relevance of that information, and I would like to move so that it's in the minutes, so it's recorded, that actually we do say that there should be match funding. And maybe we say grants of under £100 or under £250 don't need to be match funded, but all the other grants need to be match funded.
That's just to get people thinking about looking at other options.
They need to look at other places they can get funding from.
Yes.
Town council is not the sole funder.
Yeah, I agree, John. I have to be honest. You know, I was hoping to see a lot more innovation and initiative from a lot of organizations in terms of how they go about getting their funding, not just funding, but raising different sources of income as well. So getting savvy with things, because the money is out there. You just need to know how to find it. So that's how we can support things as well. Yes, we can hand over a check or send a bank transfer, but we've got the resources to also be able to support local groups and helping educate them on where that magic pot of money is, to really get some really good funding in Melksham.
Yeah. And can we have a question on the form that actually say how many residents of the town of Melksham, the parish of Melksham, did you work with last year or will you work with next year? It can be an estimate.
Yes.
That needs to be an explicit question, because that's really important, because it's funding. You know, I think we are tonight, even now, funding an awful lot of people who aren't actually in our town.
I agree.
Yeah. But in a previous life, in the application, I used to actually have an outline of the area that the town council covered.
Nice thought, yes.
So that people could see that this is what we mean by Melksham town. This is the area.
Yeah, Miriam?
The brownies asked for that map so that they could work out their numbers exactly.
Oh, bless
Well
them.
done, brownies.
Well done, brownies.
It is available.
Oh,
I use the system to actually get a report on every young person we work with, and now we're very friendly with every old person we work with, to actually find out what parish do they live in.
Yes,
accurate numbers for the applications. It can be done.
Yes,
Anyway, I'm going for my dinner.
John, before you go, can I clarify for the minutes? You said that you wanted match funding if it was over 100 or 250, but you didn't get a figure.
250. What do others think?
250, I think, is a fair amount.
Okay,
And again,
thank you.
it's just to get people thinking about other sources of income.
Sorry, Christine.
And it
Just
doesn't
for
mean another
minutes.
grant. It could be anything else to fund the project. But
Anything. Selling calendars, for example.
Fundraising.
Yeah, quiz night.
Yeah.
Something, anything.
As long as they
Bingo.
contribute. Yeah, because benefit in kind, you know, people's time can be
Yep. Sorry, can I just say I had a message from Pat to say her battery died.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's why
I
she
know how she
left
feels.
5 minutes ago.
Yes, John's battery's dying too. All right, lovely. Anything
It's
else from
internal.
anyone? I think we're done with the grants. Linda, are you happy with that?
yes, thank you. Thanks.
That's fantastic because we're bang on 10 o'clock. Okay.
God,
Yeah.
that was hard work though.
Fantastic job, everyone. I'm closing the meeting. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.